Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Fun show lined up. Gordy Chiesa is going to swing by. Tony Parks is going to swing by. We'll talk some MLB. We'll talk some Salt Lake Bees. We'll talk a little college football as well because there's some rule changes, some calendar proposals that are on the table, and Tony Parks, he follows it all. Remember everything I said a couple days ago about Styles making fights in the NBA playoffs? And, hey, maybe, just maybe, the Minnesota Timberwolves are the team that is equipped to knock off the likes of the Denver Nuggets. We've already seen that. Maybe they're the best equipped to take out the San Antonio Spurs. And so don't sleep on the fighting Rudy Goberts of Minnesota. I'm an idiot. Don't just wash out everything I said. The San Antonio Spurs woke up in Game 2 and absolutely demolished the Minnesota Timberwolves. 133-95 was the final score in this game, and it wasn't really close at any particular point. Victor Wembanyama decided not to miss all 8 3-point attempts. Now, he only made 2 of 7. He ended up scoring 19 points in this game. He added another 15 rebounds. He did not expend a whole ton of energy on the defensive end. He, the pedestrian, he's in single-digit blocks for this game. Pathetic. But more importantly, every starter for the San Antonio Spurs in double figures. Dylan Harper and Harrison Barnes came off the bench with double digits as well. And your Minnesota Timberwolves got nothing from nobody. Former Jazzman Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley combined for a whopping 8 points in the game. Rudy did a little bit of work on the boards. He had no steals. He had no blocked shots. He did not have his best game by any stretch of the imagination. Joe Ingles, by the way, got a little bit of run. You don't see that all the time. Joe Ingles had 10 minutes in the game as well.
One of the biggest indications that they lost by about 40 points is that Joe Ingles gets in the game for the T-Wolves. All due respect, he's not been that rotational player.
Jinglin' Joe is there. He's a mascot right now, and that's okay.
He's the chemist on the bench, yeah.
It's fine, all right? He's had 11 seasons in the NBA with an unathletic build. Like, he is already playing with house money. It's totally fine.
He's already overachieved. Yeah.
It's great. Anthony Edwards came off the bench again. He had 24 minutes, inefficient this time around. And that was one of the keys in Game 1 for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Again, very narrow margin of victory there. But you had Anthony Edwards come off the bench, and not only did he come off the bench and give you quality minutes, he gave you incredibly efficient minutes. He shot well from both inside the arc and outside range. He hit his free throws. In this game, he turned the ball over almost as much as he scored it. So the San Antonio Spurs have righted the ship in their Game 2.
Did you see the crazy 3 at the end of the shot clock in, I think it was third quarter, by Devin Vassell?
I did not.
So game's already out of hand. It was only like a 20-point lead, though. It wasn't like 30-40. End of the shot clock, I think it was Champagny gets an offensive rebound, and he has to turn. He's like saving it from out of bounds. He has to turn and toss it to the corner. Vassell doesn't even – he's already jumped for some reason. Or I guess he had to jump to catch the pass. So he does his jump as if he had the ball already and shoots it while he's in the air as if he had the legs to propel himself in the air with the ball like you normally shoot a jump shot. He already jumped, though. Smooth as can be, swish at the end of the shot clock. It was like wow, you don't see that every day. Everything was going well for the Spurs.
The Spurs coasted in this one. The New York Knicks are going to sweep the Philadelphia 76ers at this rate. New York shot 27% from 3 last night and still won by 6. The Philadelphia 76ers didn't go deep into their bench. They didn't feel comfortable doing so. And, of course, we already talked about this a lot. Joel Embiid, the fragile megastar, was fragile last night and did not play. So Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, VJ Edgecombe, who we love, he's a great player. He's been awesome this rookie year. Just not enough against the New York Knicks. So the second round series continue to take shape in the NBA, and I feel like, as I often do, I overreacted to Minnesota's overachieving in game one, especially on the defensive end, and gave them more credit than they showed me in game two that they deserve. Of course, these roller coasters, they go up and down. There's peaks and valleys in all these series, so don't count the Timberwolves out yet, but I was expecting more of what we saw in game one and didn't get it. I also I did not expect the San Antonio Spurs, and particularly Wemby, to play such an odd game like he did in game one throughout the course of this series. But it's not like it was a massive explosion from him that allowed the San Antonio Spurs to be so dominant in game two. That would almost make me feel better if I'm a Timberwolves fan. If you're looking at a game and you're looking at a situation where you're playing against one of the 7 best players in the world and that guy just goes off, you're like, well, yeah, of course they beat us by 30 because we don't have that, and they do. And that's going to happen. That guy's going to flip that switch every 4 games, and there's not a whole lot we can do about that. That's not why San Antonio demolished Minnesota in this game. That would be the most easily explainable and, in a weird way, the most easy to swallow loss. Well, yeah, the alien decided he was going to be an alien in this game, and so we don't have anything. As much as we like our multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year big man, who does a good job of slowing him down, he's still not the same. He's older. He's slower. He's not nearly the offensive weapon. So, like, they don't fully cancel one another out. That wasn't the explanation, though. That wasn't the thing. That's not my consolation. It's not how I make myself feel better if I'm a Minnesota Timberwolf. Minnesota lost the game to the Spurs. They didn't lose a game to Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, 7 players in double figures. The leading scorer, Stephon Castle, just 21 points. Like, that's a team effort that was better than your team effort.
That's exactly it. It's a lot more demoralizing when that team effort, when their top 7 guys are just that much better than your top 7 guys.
And then Keldon Johnson, 6th man of the year, added 9. Lindy Waters added 8. So you had 7 in double figures and 2 more basically in double figures. I mean, that's tough to beat.
Over on the NHL side of the sports equation, again, you're having a hard time probably if you're a new hockey fan in the market deciding which you want to watch. Buffalo beats Montreal 4-2, and the Anaheim Ducks knotted up their series with the Golden Knights at 1 apiece. And 3-1 is the final score in the Anaheim-Las Vegas game. I only watched the tail end of this, putting the kids to bed, doing the thing. I'm like, all right, let me tune in let me go rewind back in the San Antonio game I was recording, and let me just, during these commercials, let me pop over and check out the end of this Vegas game. It should have been 3-0, and Lucas Dostal, the Anaheim Ducks goaltender, has not had a shutout at all this year. Not in the regular season, not in the playoffs. With 5 seconds left, Jack Eichel throws a puck in, gets redirected by Mark Stone, and that is the one goal that the Las Vegas Knights scored in this game. Lucas Dostal was 5 seconds away from his first, to use a soccer term, clean sheet of the season, and it would have been the most impactful one, a second-round playoff series win, and instead he gives up one with 5 seconds left.
Is that you gotta think that's harder. That's hard to take, even though the main thing was you won the game, right?
He actually had a post game. He was kind of laughing at himself about it. He was smiling with his teammates. I think they probably were just like, "What the hell, dude? You were almost there,"
And he's like, if I had some defense in front of me, geez.
It's like giving up the no hitter on the last batter.
Yeah, and in like a 9-0 game.
You're just
like it's a blowout game.
Ah,
Yeah.
I almost got there. And then no one remembers it after that, right?
Yeah.
You got to buy your catcher a Rolex if that no-hitter happens. I don't know if you get anything special from your team, if you're a hockey goaltender for blanking another team. He hasn't done it literally in any performance this year, and he almost did it in the playoffs against Las Vegas. And instead, 5 seconds left, Jack Eichel and Mark Stone spoil it for everybody.
And hopefully everyone enjoyed hearing that via Sports USA on the station last night as well. We've had the first 2 games of the Ducks Golden Knights series, so that seems to be the one they're favoring, that they're feeding to us.
I also encourage you. It's fun watching sports at home, but it's even better watching sports when you've got some like-minded individuals, some sports fans around you. When you don't have to cook for yourself, you don't have to go to the fridge even to get your own beverages. Big Willie's at 1717 South Main, presenting sponsor of the Sean O'Connell Show. All through these NBA and NHL playoffs, they've got specials going on. They've got the pool hall warmed up. They've got really, really good things happening down there. So swing by, tell them we said hello, and watch your playoff hockey down there. Now that it's not like a Utah Mammoth season anymore, the Mammoth are already out, you're safe if you want to wear your Vegas Knights sweater. You're safe if you want to wear your Anaheim Ducks sweater. If you're some strange transplant from French Canada and you want to wear a Canadiens jersey, go on into Big Willie's. They'll treat you well. They're not going to heckle you. They're not going to bother you.
A good place to watch a game, eh?
Well, if you're a Canadiens fan, you're probably like saying that in a French accent.
That's true.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know if I can.
Let's go, Lumiere. Let's go.
Let's see if I'll find some sound from Bear Tourney. Maybe that.
There you go.
There you go.
That's perfect. In other news around the sports world, and you're seeing this, it's like maybe it's a slow news day thing. Maybe we're a month-ish away. We're 1 month and 3 days away from the beginning of the World Cup here in North America. The conversation around who this event is accessible to is one of the most interesting things that is coming out of it. The average soccer fan around the world, one of the many reasons why soccer is the most popular and powerful game in the world is because of its accessibility. How easy it is to just roll a ball out there onto relatively level ground and kick it between a couple of cones or a couple of pylons or a couple of trash cans, or if you're lucky enough, through an actual goal.
For me growing up, it was most of the parks in St. George just had the metal post.
Yep.
And in the schoolyard, it had the metal post there, no net.
No net.
And so you're just kicking through the post. It felt really cool when you actually had a rec league game or something, and you had the net on the back. You're like, oh, this is real. It's
real stuff. Yeah, right? I mean, we're lucky to live in a very developed country with good infrastructure where the parks are usually well-maintained and kept up, and there's at least a goal standard that is often, at least at the elementary school, at the local park, there's almost always some kind of goal, right? But you go, and I've been lucky enough to travel all over the world, and like soccer is played under the most absurd of circumstances. That's not something you can say with basketball even. And I would say basketball is kind of like the second easiest thing.
Yeah, you need a hoop and you need a ball.
You could probably make an argument for baseball because you just have to have a stick and a ball. And
you kind of have to have someone to throw to you, though.
Also,
like I guess soccer.
Soccer and basketball, you got to have multiple participants.
I mean, if you could just go out and kick a ball and practice some kicks. You can practice shooting all by yourself.
You can,
kind of thing. Yeah,
you can. And
I like that with a lot of other sports.
Soccer's popularity is centered around the fact that you can be someone from, and we've seen so many examples of it. You could be someone from the farthest reach of the poorest country and battle your way through and into international prominence. That doesn't happen in American football. That doesn't happen. It started to happen now a little bit in basketball. It doesn't happen in baseball. That's never going to happen in hockey because the infrastructure, the equipment, all this stuff in hockey, like it's a heavy lift to get it going. And I'm probably speaking out of turn here. I'm sure there's some like Siberian cat that is from Vostok-on-Don and only played pond hockey growing up, and it's just like, what do you mean? Grassroots hockey is a thing.
I got a trash can. We tip over, and that's our goal.
One thing that you'll find though is that the disparity between the root of soccer and the top of soccer is so wildly dramatic, and it's highlighted more in World Cup, especially in North American World Cup, than anywhere else. Gianni Infantino, who is the FIFA president, was like, hey, man, the reason why these tickets are so expensive is because of you, America, because we're in America. This is the most developed sports audience and market that we have in the world. This is the most robust fan base and infrastructure for sports on planet Earth. And so, yeah, of course, the tickets are going to be so expensive here. And I am not one who expects things to be cheap anymore. When you want high quality and you want something unique, and World Cup soccer is, for most people, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Even in the United States, even if you're somebody who's got, a modest to above average income, you're probably not attending multiple World Cup soccer events in your lifetime. You're probably not flying to Italy or flying to China or flying to wherever the next ones are in order to make sure you check off that bucket list. So there's a certain amount of acceptance I have for the fact, like, look, you want to be part of this thing. It's going to be a heavy lift. It's going to cost you some money. The unapologetic nature with which FIFA is gouging the hell out of all of these prices. And we talked about some of it a little bit yesterday. Like, thank goodness for Arthur Blank in Atlanta and deciding that at least some concessions are going to be cheap here, while the New Jersey transit system charges $150 for a round-trip subway ticket instead of $13 for a round-trip subway ticket. I see this article. I'm watching stuff. I'm preparing for the show last night. Kids are in bed. Mother's Day's coming up. My wife played college soccer. And I'm just like, man, we have an opportunity. Like, we have access to a condo in Southern California that I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be available during the World Cup, but maybe we could get a cheap stay. Maybe we could get a cheap flight. Maybe we could drive down, whatever. Maybe I can be the hero and I can buy myself and my wife, but more importantly, my wife, a great Mother's Day present that she'll be surprised by, and get her a World Cup soccer ticket at the SoFi Stadium, because that's the one that's easiest to get to, and that's where we have a place to stay and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, USA versus Panama. The get-in price for that is over $1,000 for the worst seat in the stadium. Oh, my gosh. But again, it's a World Cup game.
And it's Team USA game, too.
Team USA.
Those are going to be the most expensive in this World Cup.
So
probably.
Then I was like, okay, well, what about if I get her a just random game and she can go see, just to say that she got to go to a World Cup soccer game? It's like, all right, let me just look at some other ones that are on a weekend. So it would make sense when I don't have PFL action, and, like, we could find a babysitter or something like that. And even those, they get a little bit more reasonable. But if you want to go see Bosnia-Herzegovina versus Switzerland, you're still paying hundreds of dollars to go see that. And again, okay, fine, kind of, maybe. But when questions are asked about this and the president of FIFA is just like, guys, this is just what it is. You're complaining about the prices? Why are we selling so many tickets then if it's too much? Oh, and by the way, he finds, and his PR team is really excellent. His PR team equips him with the lowest possible number. There's tickets available for $150 right now. No, there's not. Stop it. The worst seat obstructed view at the Arlington Stadium for Qatar versus Thailand is like $150.
I know the stars in those teams. Yeah. That's a game to go to. Absolutely. And we've talked about this off air. I'm being tongue in cheek there. Any World Cup game, especially if you're a big soccer fan, but even you're just a sports fan, that's a bucket list thing. I don't even care if it's Qatar versus Thailand. If it's reasonable for me to go, money wise, travel wise, I would absolutely go.
The FIFA does not control the secondary market, so you can't be mad at FIFA over the secondary market any more than you could be mad at Taylor Swift for the secondary ticket market or whatever. But there's a little caveat here. FIFA has the tickets available on their marketplace. We were looking at, before the show, James and I, we were looking at some of the tickets for some of the games. Big 12 Media Days happens to be the day after there is a round of 16 knockout game at the stadium in Arlington. Tickets to get into that one right now are about $1,000. That's a knockout round game.
You can go to the little Jerry World, from Little Jerry World to Big Jerry World, or vice versa.
For a knockout round, we don't know who's going to be in that yet. Okay, now we're talking a little bit more reasonable. Oh, by the way, those $1,000 tickets are not good tickets, but they're not terrible either. The good tickets are $50,000 a piece on the actual FIFA marketplace.
Second, I am so anxious to see how high those tickets will get in the secondary market, because a knockout stage game, like, those got to be, I would guess they'll be way higher than $50,000.
But somebody bought 4 of the best tickets, and we talked about this like a month ago. Somebody bought 4 of the best tickets to the World Cup final off of the official site, right? And has listed them on a secondary marketplace for $2.3 million each. So for $9.2 million, you could take 3 friends to the World Cup final and sit front row. Here's my caveat. Here's the little asterisk. Here's the thing that I think needs to be paid a little bit of attention to when we're talking about accessibility. And by the way, this problem extends to Utah Mammoth hockey games. The Jazz games were pretty cheap to get into this year for obvious reasons. Utah football, BYU football, hell, Weber State football. You know what the worst thing is right now? Little League games. When's the last time you tried to go watch a Little League football game? It used to be, back in my day in the 1990s, you came down to Bear Park and you walked from the parking lot to the sideline and you watched your kids play football. And if you wanted to, if you were spoiled little rich kids, you were allowed to go over to the trailer, the snack trailer by your parents, and they gave you a $5, and you could run over there and you could grab yourself some Skittles and a hot chocolate on a cold day, or you get a hot dog even. If you were really, really like, if your family was loaded, you'd actually get your lunch there, right? Now, you try to go watch like Ute Conference football games, these little 7-on-7 spring tournaments, and they build fences around the entire park, and you have to pay an admission fee to go watch the kids play. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen. The accessibility to sport at its highest level is always going to be expensive, and the World Cup is probably, well, not probably, it is statistically, audience-wise, it is the most important sporting event in the world every single year. It is the event.
Spence likes to, he's been bringing up the Gallup poll, I believe it was Gallup that did it, that has talked about the popularity of sport worldwide and in the United States. 4 billion with a B people claim that soccer is their favorite sport. 4 billion, and like I think it's 300 to 400 million that say American football is. Just as a comparison.
First of all, I don't believe any of those polls. There's no way they talk to 4 billion people.
No, they don't. Yeah, it's like
they extrapolate.
It's the polling estimation that I don't completely believe in either. Yeah.
$2.3 million. Where FIFA still looks like a bit of a villain here on the secondary market, they don't control prices on a resale platform, but you know what they do? They take 30% of the resale price. It's in the fine print.
So, okay.
FIFA takes 15% in a purchase fee from the buyer. So if you buy a ticket on the secondary market, 15% of whatever you're paying is going to FIFA.
Whatever the service fee is, that's going to FIFA. Okay.
And 15% resale fee from the seller. So 30%, 15 from each end of that transaction goes to FIFA. So for FIFA, they actually want tickets to be resold. They want to sell them twice.
Absolutely.
They want to get 130% of the price of a ticket. They want you to buy those front row tickets for $50,000 or whatever it is, $100,000, and then to list them for $2.3 million a piece, because then they're just like, wait a second. If they sell for that, I'm getting my original bite at the apple, and then the secondary jacked up price, my 30% of that is actually more than what we sold them for in the first place. So FIFA wants you.
Yeah, I didn't know. That's got to be the way it is for all the sports events and concerts now. I didn't know that was a thing with the resale.
Let me tell you something. My girl Marty, okay, our season tickets for the Mammoth games, with the remodel, it's 4 seats together, and in the first year, Utah Hockey Club year, they were at the end of the row, right? After the remodel, there was a random loose tooth of a seat.
You had a new friend every game.
That's right. Yeah. We had 17, 18, 19, 20. That was the end of the row in the past. Now there's a 21. So every single game, there was just one random person sitting there. And for the first playoff game in the history of the Mammoth at the Delta Center, it was Marty from Boise. Awesome lady, right? I was like, oh, hey, who are you? Tell me your story. Drove all the way down from Boise. She's like, yeah, I love hockey. We've got hockey up there, but we don't have NHL hockey up there. I tried to get my friends to come with me. Nobody wanted to pay the price. No one wants to pay the fees. And I was just like, all right, how much did you pay for this ticket? It's a lot, because there's an extra jacked up fee on both ends of the transaction. So the secondary market is good for the seller, for the original seller, right? The arena itself, for the World Cup, for FIFA itself, and it's just bad for the consumer. And the accessibility of these things is becoming more and more and more difficult. And so far, almost inexplicably for me, it has not eroded people's interest in sports. I mean, you can say it anecdotally. You can text me 877-353-0700, and you could tell me, you know what, I don't do it anymore. And I could take your testimony and I could say, yeah, sports are becoming less popular because they're so expensive. This guy or this gal doesn't do it anymore. But the numbers show me, the revenue, the ticket sales, the ratings, show me that we have not yet priced out everybody.
Yeah, you turn on the TV, you see it's still a full stadium, whatever you're watching, especially when it's playoff games or World Cup, Olympic type stuff. Like, yeah, that there's still 20 to 100,000 people that it's not too expensive for.
So, Mr. Infantino, the head of the FIFA organization, made this point. We have 25% of group stage tickets which can be bought for less than $300. You cannot go in the U.S. to watch a college game, not even speaking about a top professional game of a certain level, for less than $300. And this is the World Cup. Now, he's talking about the bare minimum prices here. He's also talking about matchups that nobody wants to see. And right now, you can go to NBA playoff games and NHL playoff games for less than $300. Your seat's not going to be great, but you can see all of them. I looked at it. Every game that you can buy tickets on the secondary market right now, you can buy for less than $300 in the Stanley Cup playoffs and in the NBA playoffs. So the World Cup, again, is more unique, more bucket list, more special, for lack of a better term. is $300, and really it's $500, is $500 a reasonable price for you just to get in, to say that you did it, to say you checked the box? Is it reasonable to ask fans from every corner of the globe? Because then there's the hotel prices, there's the transportation prices. And by the way, hotels right now are freaking out over the World Cup situation because the demand for hotels is not as high as it was anticipated to be. And the low-hanging fruit, the obvious explanation that these hotels, as they're expressing their concern, is like, you know why people are not rushing to book at the Marriott Arlington? Because you jacked up the price 5 times.
And maybe, just maybe, because these cities you chose have, millions of people, maybe it's just locals who are going to the game. They're like, because that's what I said to you off air. If I was living in Los Angeles area and it was you mentioned, tongue in cheek, we mentioned the Qatar-Thailand game is one that, why would you want to see that, right? If that's the cheapest game and I'm living in the LA area, I don't have to fly, I don't have to pay for a hotel. I might fork over $600 for that game. Just to go to a World Cup game. I wonder,
fancy guy.
Yeah,
okay.
I wonder how many of the World Cup tickets are locals like that. That's why the hotels aren't getting booked because people are we don't want to pay your prices.
Also, if I live in greater Dallas-Fort Worth area right now, if I live in the greater San Francisco Bay Area right now, and I have any kind of Airbnb setup, it's a very easy thing for me right now to go and see what the average hotel price is, to put my Airbnb on there for $30 a night less, and to have people book that instead to save themselves a little bit of money. I mean, the economics of this World Cup are right now, unfortunately, about a lot of exclusivity, and you don't like to see it, but that's where we're at. All right, we got to get back into more important things, more relevant things, more salient things. NBA playoffs with our guy, Gordy Chiesa. Also, I got to know the last time Gordy actually bought a ticket to go to a sports game. Because when you're a legend like Gordy, people are they roll out the red carpet. They say, Gordy, we got you. I mean, we're going to have to go back to probably the 60s, the last time that Gordy had to pay for a ticket. We'll get there. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Big Willie's, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Let's get into it with our guy, Gordy Chiesa, resident guru and expert of all things NBA basketball. Gordy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Sean, I'm doing well. Thank you.
All right, you heard me asking the question in a rhetorical manner now that you're actually here. Gordy Chiesa, the living legend, at least locally. When's the last time you had to buy a sports ticket?
It's been a while, and
Yeah,
I'm blessed.
as it should be. As
It's
it
been
should
a while. No, I'm blessed, and I'm grateful, truly. Again, we work in the industry, a different brotherhood and sisterhood, and it's all part of it. That's why I feel bad for the fans, where they pay unbelievable prices and the players don't play hard, or they're injured, or they're sitting out. I feel awful. I mean that sincerely, that I'm a fan at heart, and that's what makes it so troublesome about this tanking. You mentioned about the World Soccer Championships this summer in July around the country, and obviously I'm a native New Yorker, New Jerseyite, and the Meadowlands is a huge part of this right now. And I can tell many people I know that are soccer fans that are outraged about the prices and just the logistics of getting from Midtown Manhattan, going to the Lincoln Tunnel or the George Washington Bridge or the Holland Tunnel to go to the Meadowlands to play. It's not really fan-friendly as far as the travel of it.
And I know that people far smarter than me are figuring out like the economic formulas for thresholds on prices, and hey, we can keep increasing that season ticket package 5% every year until a certain point, and then that person's going to cancel, but we know somebody else is going to pick it up. I would have thought, Gordy, because I'm a resident cheapskate here, I would have thought, years and years ago, we had jumped the shark. We had gotten to a point where people were just like, I'm not paying that to watch football, especially now that at home on television, the experience is so great, but the demand does not seem to diminish, even as the prices, we're compared to what it was in the 90s when I was a kid and we were going to games. It's not twice as expensive to go to games now. It's 10 times more expensive than it was then. And it feels like it's not sustainable if it keeps going that way. Yet it is. It's exactly that. It is sustainable. How? Why?
Because there's enough people around that have high wealth, but the problem is, Sean, is the younger people. That's where the NBA and the NFL, Major League Baseball, soccer, they're trying to attract the younger people. That's the next generation of ticket buying. That's why they watch games now on streaming, because it's much cheaper than going to the game. So they have to figure out how to get them to go to it. Sean, the NFL is the perfect scenario, though. There's only X amount of home games. And so every home game, Sean, in the NFL, it is happening. It's valued. Whether you're tailgating or whether you're going with generational family, whether your grandfather goes, you go, your son goes, your daughter goes, your next door neighbor goes with you. There's nothing like it. So the NFL, absolutely, that's why it rules. Plus the games are outrageous too.
All right, let's get into these NBA playoffs as we're seeing them play out. I think when you first walked in and started, plugging things in with James, I was talking about the New York Knicks. They're up 2-0 now in the series against Philadelphia. Philadelphia without Joel Embiid last night. They only went 3 guys deep in the bench, did Philadelphia. So not a lot of depth, or at least not a lot of trust in the depth with this series against New York. But it feels like, Gordy, the Knicks are on a roll right now, and that Philadelphia's they got to figure something out if they're going to put up any level of resistance.
Yeah, very much. But with that said, though, that was a hard-fought game. Do you realize about the game? It was a 108-102 victory. There were 25 lead changes during the game. That was the most in the NBA in 11 years.
Wow.
Since the Spurs and Clippers. So it was a winnable game. The problem was in the fourth quarter. I call it a frozen chilly shooting by the 76ers. They go 4 for 19 from the field, 1 for 10 from threes. They only scored 12 points in the fourth quarter. Knicks only scored 19 points. So that game was a back-and-forth battle, skirmish, and the Knicks were able to hold them off. I'm more concerned right now about O.J. Anunoby, who pulled up lame during the end of the game right now. He's been spectacular for the Knicks. So we'll see right now if he's going to play in Game 3, Sean, in the city of brotherly love. We know about that one in Philadelphia on Friday night. So it was a hard-fought game. The Knicks were able to hang in there, led by Jalen Brunson in that fourth quarter. He made some great baskets for them. Karl Anthony Towns, who's in foul trouble the whole game, only played 27 minutes, but he was productive, 20 points, 10 boards, and 7 assists. And that they're able to knock out. All right, for the Sixers' point of view, no Joel Embiid, multiple injuries, right ankle sprain, and a right hip soreness, where in Game 1 he played 25 minutes, and he was a factor. In Game 2, he did not play. The question is always right now, will he play tomorrow night in Philadelphia? No one knows. Right now they're listing him as far as probable. We'll see. Sean, now it turns around for the 76ers if they can win with more bench production, being productive, and can Therese Maxey and those guys and Paul George shoot better in the fourth quarter to knock the Knicks out. My instincts tell me, Sean, they're going to do it.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, 2-1. I'm going to say it'd be 2-1, and then reset from there. Knicks are playing good, though. They're absolutely. Jalen Brunson is really a star player, especially, in playoff games. Here's the question philosophically and situationally. Can you, as a basketball player, score through physicality? That's what it comes down to. If you're a finesse shooter, regular season, that's well commendable. But in the playoff games, the game is always gritty, and people are on your body the whole game. So, again, can I score as a player against velocity and physicality? And most guys can't. Some players can. I just described Jalen Brunson. And Stephon Castle of the Spurs also, both of them.
We'll get to the Spurs here in just a second. For the Knicks, this game brought you back down to earth a little bit after 3 in a row where they were just demolishing first the Hawks and then the 76ers. And, the dynamic of a more realistic win like this one, and as you said, a more hard-fought win like this one, how does it change, your conversation in the locker room, the film study, the practices, the shoot-arounds, et cetera, when it's like, all right, we're back in a series with someone who's going to fight us out? Yeah, very much. What happens is that both teams have a sort of rallying cry where the Knicks is saying, okay, we're 2-0, and now it's going to get harder each game. We've got to be more efficient offensively and be more tenacious defensively to be able to knock out the 76ers. From the 76ers point of view, it's very similar, but they have to be more efficient and get more bench play. And so both coaches, staffs are trying to angle the mental part of it of what they need to do to win. It also, the NBA playoffs is a first and fourth quarter league. Is that if you jump out early in the game, that sets the tempo of how you want to play. And in the fourth quarter, when the opposition has that usually a rally in the fourth quarter, can you keep yourself wits about it, value the ball and the possession, and be able to score through physicality? Can I do that to hold off? Also, another factor is that in the fourth quarter of a playoff game, it's a make and miss lead from the foul line. And that's absolutely critical of making foul shots in the last 5 minutes of a playoff game where you don't want to go 0 for the possession where you got to the foul line, you go 0 for 2, and that possession now is wasted. So there's so much of the mental and physical part. And by the way, they're partners during the game. 75% from the stripe for Philadelphia last night to drive that point home. Yeah, absolutely. Not good enough. That's right. Not good enough. No, it's not good enough. And that's why it's so important to be. Remember, they call it free throws because it's a free shot from 15 feet. But there's a thing called pressure. And it's nothing like playoff pressure where you've got to be able to shoot forward, not backwards. Sean, you ever see a guy play, even in a pickup game, is that the guy misses a shot and he runs down the court and starts using his hand like this. He's waving at the shot that was missed about 25 seconds later. Is that you, Sean? It's not me, Gordy, because first of all, my release is more of just kind of like a shot put situation, First of all, I flick the wrist. Yeah. And so I always laugh, and I laugh, and I laugh, and I'm saddened by when I see somebody run down the court after a miss, say, open three, and he practices his form down the court, which tells us that he's playing backwards, not forward. All right, we're going to stay on clock here, which I never do. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. I'm going to tell you what the hot lunch is today. And more importantly, Gordy and I are going to get into game 2 of the Minnesota-San Antonio series, a major reversal of what happened in game 1. Gordy will tell us how the San Antonio Spurs bounced back the way that they did. That's next on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Back row. The hot lunch today brought to you by our friends at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. A blackened sirloin steak topped with mushroom sauce, red potatoes, and green beans on the side. I'm not a green bean guy. That's the hot lunch special. I would just double my red potatoes, and you can keep the green beans, or I'd scrape them off onto a plate for Gordy to have or something like that. Blackened sirloin steak, mushroom sauce, red potatoes, and I say this begrudgingly because I know that the chefs, they do a good job down there at Big Willie's, but green beans are just not my thing, okay? Just not. You like those, Gordy?
I love green beans. I love them. Tell Patrick next time he comes here, forget about the burgers. Just give me the green beans.
Wow, it's appalling to hear that from a man whose opinions I respect so much. Gordy Chiesa is in the studio with us for an hour. Go check out 1717 South Main. Shoot around a pool, watch some Sports Center, watch some live baseball, watch the hockey and the basketball tonight. Grab the hot lunch special, blackened sirloin steak. They keep that food special under $15 each day. They got the drink specials for $4 and under every single day. They've got cold beer on draft. If you just want a nice ice water, they'll give you that as well. All right, the hot lunch topic I want to get to here, Gordy, is the San Antonio Spurs bouncing back after losing a close game 1. Anthony Edwards fought into the lineup for the Minnesota Timberwolves, helps carry that team to victory. San Antonio looks a little out of sorts offensively, and I was saying it earlier. If Victor Wembanyama goes off for 40 points and beats you that way, you're probably still not liking it in Minnesota. But you're like, all right, well, they got a guy that we just can't handle. That's not what happened in this game. It was a team effort for the Spurs. 7 guys in double digits, all up and down, getting the job done against Minnesota. How did it happen, Gordon?
It happened defensively. That was the first thing, is that the activity level of the Spurs to start the game and throughout the battle was absolutely phenomenal. Meaning this, the Spurs have 13 steals and 9 block shots. So we call that, so it equals 22. So the 22 chances where they had defensively, they won the possession as far as the turnover possession. The Wolves only had 9. So it shows you that how 22-9, that was a differential, and that shows you the activity level of what they did as far as mentally and physically. Add to that, the T-Wolves had, I call it ice-cold igloo shooting, where they shot for the game 40% from three-point range, 30%. And Sean, here's the kicker about everything, about free throws. They shot from the foul line, NBA players as a unit, 52% from the foul line, 16 for 31. So you have no chance of remotely winning a road game because you're not shooting straight, and defensively, the opposition is getting after you, and you're not responding. Rudy Gobert, who we all really enjoy watching him play, he had a very marginal game against Victor Wembanyama and against the whole team. He only gets 5 points, 10 rebounds, and no blocks. And here's the kicker about it also, to add to it, the free throw line. He goes 3 for 9. So Victor Wembanyama, the young superstar player at age 22, 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 2 blocks. And he just part of the group. He wasn't special as far as his standards, but he really helped his team as far as neutralizing Rudy Gobert and everybody in the lane. See, with Victor Wembanyama, it's not the question how many blocks he gets, it's how many he alters as far as not getting in there.
Sure.
And people quick shoot. So it was a team effort. Sean, add to this, as far as the quickness plays, is that the Spurs outscored the T-Wolves 27-5 in fast break points. So let's say the Spurs are ready to roll and the T-Wolves were living on their first game victory.
So when you have a defensive specialist like Rudy Gobert who doesn't have a great defensive game, what's the conversation like? What's the coaching like after that? Because his role is very clearly defined in a way that like a Victor Wembanyama's is not, because Victor Wembanyama can have, like he did the other night, he can have an 11-point offensive performance but give you a dozen blocks, and you're like, all right, well, it wasn't perfect and it was in a loss, but you contributed to what we were doing here. When Rudy Gobert has a game like that, what do you tell him? What do you say to him?
Well, we say to him right now, a lot of it's positioning, where he has to be much more alert to gain position and get the angle to be able to defend, whether it's a switch defense or with Victor Wembanyama as far as playing closeout. But part of the reason why the T-Wolves are so behind was Julius Randle and Jaden McDaniels, who've been really been playing well the whole postseason, and in particular Game 1. Those guys were not there. And also, to Naj Reid, Michael Conley was overwhelmed as far as physicality by the Spurs as far as coming at him off the dribble. He couldn't ball contain. It was the whole effort by everybody. So if you're the T-Wolves, you've got to go back and get early position defensively, build a wall, and as always, how can I be physical with still sound technique? That's any sport, Sean. How can we be physical and still be able to keep within ourselves our technique base? And that's what it comes down to. And last night, the T-Wolves, they fell apart both defensively. Usually speaking, when you play good defense, Sean, in any game, the ball finds you offensively. When you don't play good defense, the ball hardly ever finds you at all. And last night was a classic example.
So for Minnesota, even though last night it was a blowout, you don't ever want to get blown out. You certainly don't want to get blown out in playoff basketball. But you do come away from San Antonio with a split, which is a win of sorts, right? I mean, the home court advantage is not as much of a factor anymore. So How do you compartmentalize? Is it game by game? Is it the first 2 games? Let's try to split these. Now let's go defend home court for the next 2. How is that handled?
See, the mental part is so much part of the reason why teams win. So how do you handle it is that you've got to have the mentality. In Jazz basketball and yesteryear, we used to always talk about we're the underdogs. We are the underdogs. Even if you're up 2-0 in a playoff series, is that we're the underdogs, and you keep hitting it home as far as the players. Where you talk about it is that, which means that when you're underdog mentality, you've got to both individually and collectively be ready to play from the start of the jump ball, and that's how you handle it. And last night, that the T-Wolves didn't. Now flip the switch now. So now tomorrow night in the Twin Cities, it's going to be the mentality. If I'm coaching the T-Wolves, I'm saying that we're the underdogs in this game, that we can't take it for granted. Where, in other words, often in playoff games with a home team, you think the home fans are going to generate enough intensity for you, and the answer is it's not their job. Their job for fans, Sean, right now is to go buy 6 hot dogs and 4 beers. That's their job. Their job isn't to help you play defense. And I say this all the time: is that also when the foul line, when you go to the foul line, is that the fans want you to miss. You're the visiting team. You go to the foul line. The fans are screaming in the second half of the game to miss both free throws, so they get free chicken. Sean, I always tell the guys all the time, forget about getting free chicken. It's their job for the fans to buy free chickens. Your job is to make both foul shots.
That's
right. Sean, never let somebody let you have free chicken on you. Rudy Gobert.
Words to
Sean,
live by.
Three for 9.
Don't let a fan base get a free chicken sandwich off you.
Sean, I'm exaggerating. I'm kidding you, but I'm not.
But you're not.
No, I'm not. Get your own freaking chicken.
That's right.
I told Brian Russell all the time. I'm making light of it. Yeah, years later, I get it. But I say to Brian Russell all the time, that's things like that. See, the mental part as far as get guys ready to play. Brian Russell's guarding Michael Jordan, the greatest player of all time. Get him ready to play mentally, but not over-talking. It's those catchwords you use.
Gordy, who did you do the best job of getting the most out of and getting into the right frame of mind mentally, right? Because I'm sure there's guys that you coached that you didn't have to do much. They were just there. They were ready, right? And I'm sure there were guys that were absolute head cases, but maybe the Gordy Chiesa-isms weren't what they needed. Maybe somebody else was better at. Who was Gordy the whisperer for? Which player or players did you have the best rapport with in that way?
Andre Karolinko.
Yeah?
Karolinko. He's so hyper the way he played is that I try to calm him down offensively. So Karolinko, he running and jump, both vertically and horizontally. One of the best players in the era in the NBA as far as up in the air and while moving his feet. Matt Harpring, innately aggressive.
Sure.
Innately. Howard Eisley, innately not aggressive. So you had to coach him up. You get him ready to play mentally to be aggressive in playoff games.
And all those guys took your coaching well, or even better than most people did.
Yeah, I like to think that. Yeah. And say Karl Malone, he's such a force of nature. Is that when you talk to Karl, just be normal because he's going to be ready to roll from the beginning. And then John Stockton, guys like that, Jeff Hornacek. Those guys are ready on their own. It didn't matter what anybody said to them. They had enough experience and also enough of talent and willpower. But, Sean, it's the other guys. In other words, it's like coaching Tom Brady, I imagine, all right, where he's ready to play himself. You might validate what he's saying to you as the coach. You validate what he's saying to you. But you have to get the other guys to be with Tom Brady-type people, John Stockton-type people, LeBron James-type people, how they play the game to be ready to be alert, to catch the ball, to play in rhythm and in sync with the star players. It's a skill, Sean. See, in playoff basketball, a phenomenon happens as a player and as an organization. You either get exposure or you get exposed.
Hmm.
How about in the NFL?
Well, same thing, right?
Absolutely.
Greg Popovich reportedly joined the film session for the San Antonio Spurs between games 1 and 2. And of course, you don't have a recording of that. You don't know if Greg Popovich sat there silently or if he was active and, rewinding and had the laser pointer and was doing that. But it is such a unique situation there in San Antonio, and his status in NBA coaching circles and obviously with the Spurs is so unique. And it just, what do you hear about and what do you think about, something like that, like a Greg Popovich dropping in and imparting his knowledge on these young guys?
Street cred. He's got it. Absolutely. He's still involved as far as decision making. He's the team president. Let's remind everybody. Greg coached the San Antonio Spurs for 29 seasons. Jerry Sloan coached the Jazz for 23. So Greg Popovich, the longest ever as far as coaching tenure. He won 1,422 games. He coached Victor Wembanyama in the beginning of his career before he resigned in season. All right? Greg Popovich won 5 championships to Spurs in a 15-year window from 1999 to 2014. So he has street cred in that film session. And whether he said only 5 sentences or he said 5 paragraphs, it's irrelevant. Is that when he said to the players about things, what's happening during the game, you might think about this idea about playing defense or going to the offensive glass. The players are absolutely listening because they want to win. And Greg Popovich, he understands this about playoff basketball. So I have no problem with it. I encourage it.
All right. That's the Hot Lunch brought to you by Big Willie's. It is a steak today. Swing on over there. Tell them OC sent you. Get the blackened sirloin steak topped with the mushroom sauce, red potatoes, and green beans on the side. Tell them extra green beans for Gordy Chiesa's sake. Gordy gets to hang out. We got him for another half hour or so. And look, we got to get to it. This is the last time we're going to have Gordy on before the upcoming NBA draft lottery. We know what the Utah Jazz chances look like. We know what the hope is, but we'll drill down on some of that with Gordy. Plenty left to talk about. He's got his list as well. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. All right, we're going to talk a little NBA draft lottery with Gordy, but concurrent with the timing of the draft lottery is also something that does not get the same sort of recognition, the same sort of television time as its counterpart in the NFL circles. But the NBA scouting combine is obviously a valuable place for player personnel, for teams, for general managers, for coaches to get a sense of how they want to use the draft capital that they get sorted out with the draft lottery. So we'll get to all of it. I want to start with the combine though, Gordy, because it is not quite the television event that the NFL's one is. Is it less important or just less recognized?
Less recognized, but it's absolutely critical. And this year, unlike the NFL's always in Indianapolis, it's always in Chicago for the NBA. And just simply, they invite 73 players to go there, and you have to be there to be eligible to draft, with the only exception being that some personal matter, God forbid, as far as a death in the family or other tragic things, that's the only exception. So all the guys are going to be drafted. They have to be there and take the physical. And that's what makes it so different than yesteryear, where some of the guys wouldn't even go there, and that the NBA said enough is enough. So quickly about it, here's some of the things that they're gonna I call it the measurements, where they're gonna test for body fat, weight, hand length, hand width in inches, height with no shoes, standing reach, wingspan. And then with that, on the court, there'll be vertical jumping, both standstill, meaning what, no step, and maximum vertical jump, the shuttle run, which means sideways, the quick burst as far as four-way agility test, and then the pro lane drill. Then add to that will be multitude of shooting drills. So it gives an indicator of the metrics. From a coaching standpoint, because you coach during the season, you never see these guys play ever live because you're coaching your own team. The scouts and personnel people, they see these guys play all the time. So the coaches are the first time they see someone actually, we call it kick the tires. Now, that's all part of it in the morning sessions. At the night sections, they actually play the game. Now, some of the top players do not play in the games. They don't. But most of the guys do because, hey, I think I'm better than the guy that's going to be in the eighth pick of the draft. I'm projected right now at number 37. I'm better than this chump right now. And they want to play in the game to go against them. And it's really eye-opening. I'm all for it. I've been to it literally for decades, and it tells a story. Also, showing the last part about that, interviewing. So a lot of times for the top players, they will go to the team's suite in the hotel, and either ownership and or high management will talk to the player as far as interviewing them. And so it's rather intense, and it gives everybody a chance to equal footing.
The agility drills, the physical drills, you got bench press, you've got the 3/4 court sprint. Bench press one is hilarious for me because I know it's to determine upper body strength. Upper body strength is at less of a premium, obviously, in the NBA as it is in like a contact sport. And the numbers in the NFL, guys go and they train specifically for the combine, right? They've got their football season. They put the bowl games over, and then they get some coach, they get some personal trainer, and they say, all right, now all I'm going to do for the next several weeks is increase my bench press, my vertical jump, my broad jump, my short shuttle, my 40-yard dash. Do NBA prospects do this?
No, it's a different mentality. They might try. It's not the same because they play the game. In other words, they're going to improve themselves as far as some of the really shooting drills.
Yeah,
because it's more skill orientated. But you are who you are as far as remember. Also, a lot of these kids, their season just ended literally less than a month ago. But some of the top players, meaning in March Madness.
Sure.
And so it's a different mentality.
By the way, the bench press numbers for NBA players are hilariously bad.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And for football players, sometimes it's just like, oh my gosh, this guy 50 reps on it of 225. In the NBA, they do 185, right? But
yes,
it's just, there's debatable if the bench press should even be part of the NFL scouting combine. What value does it really have at the NBA one?
Very little value. So here's the point about that. When Kevin Durant, when he was coming out in the draft, he couldn't bench 185.
That's crazy.
Right. And so people were saying, this guy can't even bench 185. And he's going to pick a high in the draft. And Rick Barnes said, his coach said at Texas at that time, said, guess what, fellas? I'm positive he can play.
Yeah.
And he was right. So he's the classic example of Kevin Durant. If you went by only the metrics and the measurement, that he was weak physically and that probably he'd be lesser player, that is absolutely delusional. Because Kevin Durant became one of the greatest players of all time, generational talent, and he's heading to the Hall of Fame in the first ballot. He's going to finish probably in the top 7 scorers of all time.
Gordy Chiez is our guest here for another few minutes. So as teams are attending this NBA scouting combine, they're trying to get a sense of who these players are, and we've got a deep draft, right? At the top, we've talked about the players that are being considered for that number 1 overall pick, kind of 1 through 3, and then there's maybe a slight gap, but then some pretty robust levels of talent from 4 through 8 and even beyond in some people's opinions. But, of course, we don't know who's picking where until after Sunday. The NBA draft lottery taking place on Mother's Day.
Of course.
Because that's what your moms want you doing. Your moms want you staring at your phone and trying to figure out where your favorite team is picking in the upcoming NBA draft. What is the – I mean, each person has their own mindset, but what is right now the franchise cultural mindset for the Utah Jazz with this draft lottery approaching?
Poise under pressure right now, where everybody knows that it's based, Sean, on the man upstairs, the Holy Grail, that he's going to determine about those lottery balls as far as what happens. The Jazz are due for some good breaks, hopefully. They really are, because they haven't got it in a long time. So let's hope that imagine the Jazz, Sean, for some act of goodness by the Lord, is that they pick number 1, meaning AJ, and then the world changes dramatically. But with that said, though, there's also other players. Here's the first 4 guys. You can debate these guys. AJ number 1 by far. I mean that. So
by far?
By far, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, by far. Yeah, very good. That guy, meaning the Benzer, he can score the ball. He can create his own shot. He knows how to play. He tries to play defense. And just generally speaking, he plays hard all the time. Also, by the way, he has knockout talent.
Yeah, that helps.
So it helps. So at the top of the draft, talent does prevail. Now, here's the great debate. Darren Peterson, knockdown shooter, unbelievable, got talent, missed 11 games this year, Sean, with leg injuries, cramps. So, Sean, it sounds so simple. Let's go old school. When you and I have a leg cramp based on training, we do 2 things. Either drink out of a jar, pickle juice, or have more bananas.
Eat a banana, have some pickle juice.
Right.
Some electrolytes that can help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just keep it simple. So that's the problem with Darren Peterson, missed 11 games. Cam Boozer, tremendous all-around player. I love his game. He's NBA ready. He can rebound, shoot threes. He can pass the ball, knows how to play. Caleb Wilson, Sean, knockout talent. Yikes. This guy can fly. He reminds you so much defensively of Karolinko. Defensively.
All right.
In other words, vertically and horizontally. And he plays like Sean, Kevin Garnett. That's who he played.
That's
like at age 19. Now he got hurt. So he broke his wrist back on February 5th. So he didn't play in the ACC tournament. And then his team got knocked out.
If you could get a Kevin Garnett type player, I know not a clone of Kevin Garnett, but if you could get a Kevin Garnett type player, I'm going with that at 2 if I've got the opportunity.
That's the great debate, Sean. That's where I'm going at. That's a debate.
Well, I want to rewind to Darren Peterson.
All 4.
Because with Darren Peterson, we talked about him all year long, right?
Yes.
Kind of a confusing – and by the way, I have to state, because there's always for me, there's always this assumption that like what you have been is what you're going to be. So if you're unavailable a bunch in your college career, that might also be the case in your NBA career. That's not necessarily guaranteed. You could get lucky. You could be healthier, right? Steph Curry famously was very unhealthy early in his career and then figured it out later on. And obviously that was to a great benefit for the Golden State Warriors. Looking at Darren Peterson specifically, and I was drawing an analogy with what Joel Embiid is right now, right? Nobody debates the ceiling of Darren Peterson. Everyone's just like, oh my gosh, this kid could be a world beater. And everyone knows that's true of Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has played in he's missed 47% of his career games. He's missing playoff games right now. And if you're holding on to a pick at 1, at 2, at 4, at 7, wherever it is, would you rather have a guy that you project to be maybe a 1 or 2-time All-Star, but you know he's going to be there, or at least you think you know he's always going to be there. He's always available. Or are you taking the swing and potentially the miss on somebody who's available half of the time? It seems like in these sports, our favorite sports, the front office is always chasing that elite talent and willing to take on the risk of, you know what, he might have injury problems. He might be a guy that misses half of his career games, which means I'm wasting half of his contract money and all this like salary cap games that I have to play because of that. I'm just accepting it. I'm putting Gordy Chiesa in charge. Do you want Joel Embiid or do you want Denny Avdia was the guy that James brought up yesterday. Like, he's going to be there, and maybe he's a borderline all-star type player. He's not Joel Embiid, but he's a lot more consistent. Which one do you want?
The guy more consistent.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
Because it's a team sport, and you can build around him. Even though talent prevails, the guys you mentioned and other guys in this draft, they have talent also. It's not a question of that the other guy is a talent voided. That's not true. But some players have even more talent. But if you're not dressed up to play in the game, you negate your talent level. And that's why it's so important as far as being what? Reliable. Mm-hmm. Again, keep thinking about it. Yesterday, John Stockton and Karl Malone, Sean, those guys answered the bell
always
the time. All the time. Even when they were hurt. Remember Karl Malone, I always told a story about Karl, is that, remember, some of the games he didn't play in his career because he was fighting. He's suspended. So it's the most amazing thing. Stockton played in 19 years, 17 times he played all 82 games.
Yeah.
It's unheard of.
Well, the other
that's Mikal Bridges right now of Knickerbockers.
He's on his
record. He's played right now 638 straight games. Mikal Bridges of the Knickerbockers. Good for you.
Especially because that's such an outlier in today's era of NBA basketball. There's a lot of guys who are voluntarily not playing in games. There are plenty of guys who are, out of an abundance of caution with injuries, not playing games. For Bridges to be, I mean, what's the math on that? 680 something. I mean, that's you're approaching 10 seasons of basketball without missing a game. It's pretty awesome.
Absolutely, very much. Sean, let's keep it simple here. You're an athlete. Don't you want to play?
Always.
I mean, I'm simplifying this narrative.
Yeah. It's one thing that when you're like, in team sports, I ended up being at very, very, very best at the higher levels of a small role player, right? And one of the things that was always frustrating to see was guys who you knew were a lot more talented than you, who you knew were bigger, stronger, faster than you, who wouldn't stay healthy, couldn't stay healthy, whatever. Just like, man, that talent is wasted on someone who is not making every possible sacrifice to be on the field, to be on the floor. And that's something that in the NBA, it feels like, and maybe the pendulum is swinging back a little bit with some of the rules put in place by the league office, but it has felt in more recent years that the culture of the NBA, correct me if I'm wrong, back in the 90s, John and Carl were great examples of it, but everyone was trying to be that way. Everyone was trying to be that durable and trying to play through everything. In more recent years, the culture of the NBA is protect your money, protect your body, protect your longevity, and there was very little attention paid to the team dynamic of that. Is that fair to say?
Very much. Well said. The team dynamic is called what? Chemistry.
Sure.
I can't explain chemistry until you don't have it in the locker room. And it's absolutely critical in a team sport. So again, here's a question philosophically. We say all the time, how can a player who has tremendous talent, how can I showcase my own individual talent within the team game? And when I do that, I uplift my teammates and they play better because of my special skills and, more importantly, how I perceive my teammates. My teammates are my floor mates. And I want to bring the best out of them because they need some help. And I'm gonna assist them to be the best they can. I just described to the ultimate LeBron James. He's the present tense. Magic Johnson in yesteryear. Larry Bird, yesteryear. So Magic is the guy right now that can do it. Nikola Jokic also is in that discussion where he brings the best out of his players, but he needs more. Jokic needs more as far as actually more talent. So, but LeBron is the guy. LeBron has made Austin Reeves into what? A very good player.
Do you have a list today, Gordy?
Yes. My list today, we talked about the lottery, about players being picked high. The world's going to change. This list today, Sean, these guys like you and I often are never invited to the party, Sean. So we never got invited to the party.
Like that.
You and I are like D-listers.
Happens too often.
Yeah, very much, especially to myself. All right, so these guys were never invited to the draft party. Undrafted players performing and contributing a valuable role on this year's playoff teams. So I listed 15 guys that have played in the playoffs in 2026 that were never invited to the draft party. Then I'm going to list a few guys later on as far as in Jazz basketball. Number 15, contributing to the team, Jamal Cain from the Magic. Number 14 from the Cavaliers, Keon Ellis. Number 13 from the Thunder, Kendrick Williams. Number 12 from the Suns, former Jazzman, Royce O'Neal. From the number 11 from the Pistons, Dennis Jenkins. From the Spurs, who scored 14 points last night, undrafted, Julian Champagnie. Number 9 from the Celtics, Sam Hauser. Number 8, Jose Alvarado from the Knickerbockers. Number 7 from the Pistons, Duncan Robinson, never drafted. Number 6, Luke Cornett from the Spurs, never drafted. Number 5 from the Cavaliers, Max Strus, never drafted. Number 4, one of the best players in the NBA as far as off the bench from the Thunder, Alex Caruso, never drafted. From the Thunder, never drafted. Number 3, Lou Dort. Number 2, from the Timberwolves, Naz Reid. And number 1, from the Lakers, Austin Reeves. So think about these teams, Sean. The Thunder have 2 guys that one starts, one's impactful, never drafted to the party. Quickly, what about Jazz basketball? His 5 guys are listed for all the Jazz fans that were undrafted. Number 1, Joe Ingles.
Jinglin' Joe.
Jinglin' Joe.
Got a little run from the Timberwolves last night.
He got that right. He scored 7 points. He made 3-point shots. I called the Aussie with a swag.
Yes.
Number 2, Wesley Matthews, Jazz, never drafted. Number 3, Raja Bell, never drafted. Number 4, Carl Soroy, never drafted. And David Benoit, number 5. So all these guys in Jazz basketball play contributions, and the other guys you mentioned for it in the presently, most of the guys in the top 15 in playoff-type teams this year, most of them are alumni of the G League. Of the G League.
Well, that's proof of concept then. The G League is serving the function that it was designed to serve.
Also, the coaches, Nick Nurse, G League alumni. From the Thunder, Mark Darnell, a G League alumni, and Chris Finch from the T-Wolves, coach in the G League. So, Sean, 3 of the 8 teams in the final 8 in the NBA, their coaches were in the G League.
That's pretty cool. The G League, it's interesting because I don't watch it. I don't pay attention to who's winning it, but it is producing more of a finished product for the NBA. From a coaching and player standpoint. So I assume that means that the investment is worth it for these teams?
Absolutely, Sean, very much worth it, especially big guys. Big guys, they need a game experience. Doing shooting drills and big man drills and face-up drills is commendable, and that's important. But you have to play in competition, get banged around, get thrown to the ground by someone smaller than you. How do you respond to it? And these are all parts of the maturation of it. And so, Sean, so tonight, Austin Reeves, undrafted, he's in a shooting slump. Just say tonight he goes for 31. He bounces back as far as shooting. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
he played in the G League.
Yeah.
But remember, I didn't mention at all because he didn't play this year. Freddie Van Fleet.
That's right.
In the G League. And remember, the benchmark.
We've loved him since Wichita State.
Absolutely. And so there's so many guys. Ben Wallace is the only guy in the NBA Hall of Fame that was undrafted.
Wow.
He's in the Hall of Fame. Undrafted. Ben Wallace.
I wonder who else could get there. The NFL's got several Hall of Famers that were undrafted guys.
Remember some names? Who would that be?
Kurt Warner.
Okay.
Kurt Warner undrafted. Warren Moon undrafted. James Harrison undrafted. A lot of guys.
Absolutely. They were not invited, Sean, to the party.
Yeah.
It's very similar to you and I.
Max Crosby's one of the top defensive players in the league right now. Undrafted guy. I mean, there's the NFL. It feels like the NFL misses a lot.
Sean, matter of fact, is Max Crosby still with the Raiders? Did that
For
go
now.
For now, okay.
The trade with the Ravens was negated by a weird physical situation. So yeah, he's with the Raiders still.
So Sean's alluding to right now, when you get traded with the NFL or the NBA, you've got to pass the new team's physical.
Yeah.
And that gets very interesting, Sean, where guy plays for a certain team, he's playing, the new team, hey, something wrong with him.
It seems to be that the consensus opinion was that the Ravens kind of had buyer's remorse after executing the trade, and there was no new findings in the physical. It was all information that had been disclosed. The progress on his recovery, according to the Raiders and Max Crosby, was exactly accurate. And then the Ravens said, no, never mind. So strange. You don't see it. You don't see a trade of that import, that magnitude.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not negated very often, but this one was strange.
Reminds you of the Jets, Sean.
Well, if there's an example of anything strange happening in the NFL, the Jets are always a good example of it.
Well said.
Gordy, you're the man. Thanks for stopping in again this week. Appreciate
Thanks, Sean.
you.
Peace out.
That's Gordy Chiesa, the absolute best in the business. The Daily Dump is coming next. We got a lot of things to fit into this. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. conditioning. They take care of all of it these days. Truck with the Duck. You can make an appointment online. You can give them a call. Plumbing, heating, air conditioning, anything you need. Tell them OC sent you. The way too early Heisman Trophy odds were put out, weeks and weeks ago, but we haven't talked about anything as of yet. I took a look at them. I was just, playing around on the internet last night, and I was like, I wonder if our guy, or guys for that matter, I wonder if Devin Dampier is making the early list. Now, eventually, the sports books, as we get closer to the season, eventually the sports books are going to be, a lot more detailed in whose names are on these things. So you will be able to place a wager on, if you're so inclined, that is, to place a wager on somebody like Devin Dampier or even Bert Ficklin, or, much to the chagrin of a lot of Utah fans, I think Bear Bachmeier is actually a pretty healthy Heisman dark horse candidate if he takes the forward steps that I expect from him under Aaron Roderick and company. But the current favorites for the Heisman Trophy heading into this year are C.J. Carr of Notre Dame and Arch Manning of Texas. Close behind Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. Now, here's the problem I have. If you're placing a bet on Arch Manning to win the Heisman Trophy in the future, you're expecting Texas to make a run to the national championship, because that is the only way that Arch Manning, the bar is set so ridiculously high for him. And I know that he's a great player and he was the number one recruit for a reason. And he's the number one NIL earner in college football, one of the top NIL earners in college football for a reason. But Arch Manning has to be 10, 15% better than everyone else in order for people to talk about Arch Manning living up to the expectations. If he would just change the last name only for his Texas career, right? Be Arch Manning.
Arch Banning. Shout out, like Hook, Peter
Just
Banning.
take the M off. Arch Anning.
Arch Anning.
Okay.
Arch Awning. You get a more NIL.
And it was just like, this guy, this Arch Anning kid is actually ridiculous.
Double A.
Who's his uncle? I don't know. I've never heard of any famous Annings.
His grandfather? You got a famous grandfather? No, no one's named Anning.
I don't know of any Annings that I'm impressed by. That jumped out to me when I was looking at these odds. If you're confident in Arch Manning being in that conversation, we have already seen the reaction to him. We've already seen the way that the sports media, that the fan base treats Arch Manning. It's like, oh, that incredible play you made, you're supposed to.
Yeah, he had a rough start to the year. He was playing against the best at the time, and for most of the season, the best defense in the country at the Horseshoe, Ohio State. But we didn't care about that. Nationally, the media and the fans were like, oh, you sucked. You're a bust. You underachieved. You only got one touchdown. He's a true freshman at one of the hardest places to play in the country against, like I said, one of the best defenses in the country. But then he ends up having a really good season, not like best season in college football, Heisman Trophy worthy season. But I think the prevailing thought is he's still really struggled in his first year. It's like, I don't know. You look at the numbers, you look at, every game after the Florida game, basically, he looked really good. I think you're right. It's an unreasonable expectation for him, but I don't know. I still think if he combines for 50 touchdowns and they have another 3-loss season, you don't think Arch is going to get Heisman love? You don't think he's a finalist?
In a 3-loss season, I think absolutely not.
Because I only say that because we've seen lots of Heisman winners with 2-3 losses on teams. 2-3 losses don't make the playoff, and they win the Heisman, or they're at least finalists with otherworldly numbers like I just threw out there.
Now, part of the reason I'm saying this about Arch, because I think he has to. I legitimately believe it's like he has to be 10 to 15% better than the standard set by the other elite players in the country, and if he's running away with it, if he's all alone, then sure. It's a great story. Everyone gets on board with it. but I think there's a lot of really good players in the landscape right now, and I think that the playing field has leveled somewhat because all of these other schools are spending big money. And Diego Pavia was in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony last year. A Vanderbilt quarterback who's 5'10". Like, Arch, I wish him well. I think it's absolutely unfair that you have to be better than better in order to live up to the expectation. I think that's what's happening.
I love all of the Anning family. I root for the Annings really hard.
Every single Anning is fun.
So I hope Arch does well too.
By the way, MGM Sportsbook still has, at least as when I pulled this list up this morning, they still have a number on Brendan Sorsby.
Really?
Like it's plus 2,000 on Brendan Sorsby. And I think, I don't know, we have to get a betting expert on. I think that if you place a wager on him and then he is suspended, not injured, but I think if he is suspended, then it's just kind of like a tie. They're just like, oh, never mind. And I think you get at least a refund. So that might be like a no-loss type situation for you.
There's a lot of not necessarily the casino ones like BetMGM, but a lot of the FanDuel, DraftKings, the ones that started online that are doing that, as I understand it. I think it's the one that caught everyone's attention. I don't know if it was the first high-profile one that they've given like refunds for bets on, but it's the one that really caught into the mainstream was Aaron Rodgers' Achilles. Remember all the people were like, odds on MVP or over-unders. If you placed a bet like that for the season on Aaron Rodgers, because he only 4 plays in, he tears his Achilles and he misses the whole year with the Jets, we will refund it. There was a lot of reaction to that. A lot of people going, that's Bush League. Like you place the bet, the risk. You should eat the negative part of that, but they're refunding stuff like that.
Will Hammond, I've gone to the FanDuel Sportsbook. Will Hammond is plus 5,500
for Heisman.
Yes. Rocco Becht is plus 6,500. Bear Bachmeier is plus 6,500. Devin Dampier is plus 8,000.
Wow.
So
I feel like Becht and Devin, those are particularly good odds for those two. And Bachmeier, for some reason that seems about right. Maybe you could put it a little higher, closer to plus 5,000. But as a guy who's not a bettor, those two with Becht going to Penn State, a lot high profile, and we know Devin Dampier's electric ability when he's fully healthy, in which he played hurt a lot last year. I feel like they could exceed those expectations.
I know people don't love hearing BYU praise on this station, but man, LJ Martin, Bear Bachmeier, like these guys have a real opportunity to make a big-time splash together this year. Now, maybe that hurts their individual award odds in something like as lofty as the Heisman Trophy. You'd have to be a playoff team to be even a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. And you are up against the Julian Sayans of the world and the Arch Mannings of the world and the Trinidad Chamblises of the world. All of those guys are coming in. They're already very famous. But
yeah, LJ Martin, now that you say that, I wonder if he shouldn't have the highest Heisman odds for the Cougs.
FanDuel goes pretty far down here. I'm looking at there's LJ Martin. 22.5 plus. So if you put $100 on LJ Martin to win the Heisman Trophy, you would make $22,500.
Oh my gosh.
He has the same odds as Jake Retzlaff.
Yeah, see, I kind of think Martin should be where, not necessarily at plus 6,500, but I think their places as far as who the best Heisman candidate on the team, maybe they should be swapped. I don't know.
I need to find a sports book that's giving you odds on Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Because that's where you put your money on LJ Martin.
Absolutely. And guys like Devin Dampier. And by the way, OC, I totally get what you're saying. Home of the Utes, maybe people don't want to hear Kook football praise, but we are your home for football. So
that is also true.
So you might hear a little bit of that. Not a ton, a little bit.
Ian Rappaport is out there reporting that Aaron Rodgers is visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. And while there's no agreement in place, the expectation is that he is likely to play for the Steelers in 2026. Nothing definitive yet, but he's making good on his promise. He's not going to make everyone wait until June. This is going to be resolved one way or another in May. We're in the first week of May still, and we have a good sense of what may or may not be happening with Aaron Rodgers. Well done. Well done, Aaron. While we're at it, let's get a PGA Tour leaderboard update in here for the Daily Dump. The Myrtle Beach Classic brought to you by Uinta Golf. You are invited right now to Uinta Golf for the Mother's Day sale. Help fill mom's bag with the right clubs and book a free What's in the Bag club evaluation. Book your experience in store or online. Uinta Golf. Get there. What's going on at the Myrtle Beach Classic?
Myrtle Beach Classic, of course, in South Carolina. Your leader is Martin Laird. He's at 7 under. Most of the guys are finished with their round, including Martin Laird at 7 under. He's one shot up on the number 2, which is Rye at 6 under. Hubbard and Vanderlaan and Paul Peterson are among the group of guys tied for third at 5 under, just a couple shots off the lead. Tied for 6th to round out the top 10. You've got Davis Riley in that group, and Brandt Snedeker at 4 under. So close leaderboard so far. Still a few guys out there on the round. Like I said, most of the guys done for the day on this first day of the Myrtle Beach Classic. The last tournament, last tune-up for the next major, which is next weekend, PGA Championship. We're going to have hole-by-hole coverage Saturday and Sunday starting at noon. So that's like the play-by-play broadcast. We'll have that here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. We'll have updates on Thursday and Friday playing throughout the day during Sean O'Connell's show and Drive with Spence Checketts. So stay tuned for that next week, PGA Championship. That's your PGA Tour leaderboard update brought to you by Uinta Golf.
I never thought I'd see the day that even horses got soft, but it's happening right now. We'll get there on the Sean O'Connell Show. Reminder that we have the Festival of Teas going on. You can listen right here on the Sean O'Connell Show. You can also listen on the Drive with Spence Checketts. Powered by Utah Golf Association and brought to you by Mountain Home Services. The Festival of Teas round today will be Tawana Vista. Sign up for the 4-man scramble coming up next week. That's May 14th and 15th. golftawanavista.com. We'll give you a little bit of love next on a free round of Tawana Vista. And you heard it. You heard it right. Even horse racing's gotten soft on us. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 at 92.1 FM. 877-353-0700. Festival of Tees, powered by the Utah Golf Association and brought to you by Mountain Home Services, is giving away a round today at Tawana Vista. GolfTawanaVista.com. Sign up for the 4-man scramble coming up next week. That's May 14th and 15th. This is Wendover, desert landscape, wildlife, challenging holes, and most important, if you're me, a free buffet. This round of golf, you'll also be getting a buffet certificate you can use at Rainbow, Montego Bay, and Peppermill after your round. 775-664-4300 for Tawana Vista or golftawanavista.com. We were talking NBA scouting combine with Gordy Chiesa. Famously, a future NBA Hall of Famer was not able to bench press the 185 pounds even one single time. Who was that player? 877-353-0700. By the way, 185 pounds, okay? That's what they bench. Guess what the NBA scouting combine record is for bench press reps at 185 pounds?
40, 50?
You would think, right? It's 27 reps.
27. So
that's actually so bad.
yeah, I gotta think that the combine must post-date Shaq and David Robinson's foray into the league, because those guys,
like
those two in particular,
you know
Dwight Howard.
Do you know how many times Karl Malone could bench press
Karl
185 pounds?
Dwight Howard, I know it doesn't.
Probably like 100. I'm not even exaggerating.
Seriously.
Like 185 pounds. And I don't begrudge NBA players for not being able to do it because, you know, they're long-armed and it's totally different.
And the you still need strength training in basketball, but not like you do in football.
But 27 reps by a guy named Jason Keep in 2003.
Jason Keep. Shout out.
I got my eyes lit up for a second because it says Joey Graham had 26 reps. I was like, oh, never mind. Not Jimmy Graham. Joey Graham.
Yeah, Joey Graham, Oklahoma State. Joey Graham.
He played 6 seasons in the NBA.
Yeah, he was decent. He was a really good college player, kind of a bit player in the league.
Like Sheldon Williams did 25 reps. A lot of the guys on this list, by the way, of 20-plus reps, they're just not famous players. They're not people who've done.
Sheldon Williams, Duke guy, big, really built guy. I'm not surprised he's one of the highest. I would have expected him to do more, though.
Chris Burgess in 2002.
Okay.
Busted out 24 reps.
Shout out to Burge.
Okay. Luke Herringody did 23 reps in 2010. 22 is where it seems to be kind of like the magic names start coming in. Udonis Haslem.
Okay.
Chris Humphries, the former Mr. Kardashian. Blake Griffin, Emeka Okafor. These guys were all able to do 22. A reminder, by the way, that the NFL scouting combine for 225 pounds, so an extra 40 pounds on the bar, 49 reps.
49.
27 at 185, 49 at 225.
I think we got the correct answer on the text line, so we can.
Kevin Durant couldn't do it one time.
Yeah. Which you see him now, and you think, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. He was way smaller back then.
Like, Kevin Durant back then was built like a skinnier Chet Holmgren now.
Yeah.
Chet Holmgren is like the skinniest guy in the NBA right now.
He might be.
And again, it's fine. It's kind of like being obsessed over how much a tennis player can bench. That doesn't translate.
How many times did Greg Oden lift?
I don't see him on the list.
Oh, because hey, that might be why KD went number 2 instead of Greg Oden.
I wanted to get to this because we were just talking about the Kentucky Derby, right? Come from behind victory for Golden Tempo. We went down some of the famous names. We went down the famous lineage of racing horses and things like that. Golden Tempo is not going to be a Triple Crown winner. You know how I know that? Golden Tempo is not even trying to win a Triple Crown.
Load management in horse racing.
Load management from horse racing. The Preakness is a couple weeks after the Kentucky Derby, and they're just like, yeah, no, we're not. He's healthy. The horse is healthy. They're not even attempting the Triple Crown.
Come on.
And they want there's a certain swell of support right now for potentially asking the Preakness to maybe push back a week so horses have 3 weeks of rest. But then all the trainers will be like, I'm not running my horse on 3 weeks rest. I'm not turning him back around on 3 weeks. Because right now they're saying, no, 2 weeks is too much. And then the traditionalists say, well, if you push it back and you make it 3 weeks, then you also have to push back the Belmont. And the Belmont won't do that. And the Preakness doesn't want to do it. And also, it's not really a Triple Crown if it's a longer span that they have to rest and to win these races back to back to back. And I'm like, I have no horse in the race, pun intended. But I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, there's a stubbornness on both sides of this. Trainers saying, no, it's not good for the horse. I'm not doing it. That's probably in the best interest of the horse. So I can applaud that. The traditionalists and the people who want to see an iconic feat in sports saying, like, you're not even going to try to win the Triple Crown. You're not even going to attempt it, to put yourself in this place of immortality in your sport. You're not even going to make a run at it, a literal run at it. That's crazy to some folks. And then there's like sort of the third moving piece here where it's, well, you could probably push the race back. It's your racetrack. It's your race. Maybe not this year you couldn't because there's television broadcast windows and things like that. But you could come together and say, if this is what people are going to do now, then let's still make the Triple Crown a thing by just spacing these races out a little bit more, because I'd rather have the Kentucky Derby winner racing at the Preakness than to not have them racing at the Preakness. If load management is going to be a thing in the NBA, we could just reduce the number of games, or we could give, on average, more days between games, or we could eliminate some of this. If the NFL is going to rest players on the Thursday night game after a Sunday night game, let's not have a Sunday night game and then a Thursday night game ever, right? There are bodies in charge. There are decision makers in charge of when these timelines come into play. And it got me thinking about, like, what timeline, what scheduling thing in sports is the most unimpeachable, is the most, no, you can't question that. Monday Night Football is on Monday night. Leave it there. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. The Pro Bowl is the week before the Super Bowl. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. I was trying to think, like, all of us, I think, are big-time supporters of New Year's Day being a college football showcase. All the traditional bowl games, the pageantry, the Rose Parade, all of it, right? But now even that is being called into question. That timeline is like, hey, should we do this? So the Preakness got me thinking about it. Like, well, would we be willing to accommodate trainers, horses, owners, jockeys by pushing our traditional date back a week? And right now, the fight seems like, no, we're not going to do that. You know who's going to win this one? The horses, the trainers, the owners. If they tell Belmont and they tell Preakness, we're not going to race 3 times in 6 weeks, we're not going to do it. So if you want us to chase a Triple Crown, you change what the Triple Crown is. You change the timing on it. They're the ones who are going to win, just like the athletes are the ones who win in the NBA. The athletes are the ones because they are the show. And I think it's probably the right way to handle it. I don't know who's going to win on the stubbornness of timing in the college football world, because college athletes don't have the same voice. And college athletes, if this were the pros, right, if they were collectively bargained, then the AFCA coaching recommendations we went through yesterday would already be in place. The players already would have said, yeah, we've decided we want the season to be over on the second week of January, which means those New Year's Day games, they got to be semifinals or whatever. And if you don't like it, if you have a problem with it, too bad. That's what we're doing. We want our season to end here. And obviously there's more nuance to it, but the players in an NFL situation end up getting what they want. And even when they concede and say, yeah, we'll play a 17th regular season game, what do they get in exchange? They get a lot more money. They get a higher percentage of revenues. They get more robust retirement benefits, an extension of the health insurance package, right? There's a give and take. In college, there's not any of that. In horse racing, I don't know enough about it to tell you how much give and take there's going to be there. But if we're getting to a point now with load management, for lack of a better term, in horse racing, to where the Triple Crown is no longer an achievement that these teams are even going for, the races themselves are going to have to change the structure to put it back in the sport. Am I wrong?
My only grievance, OC, is why didn't anyone ask Golden Tempo what he wants to do? He probably wants to race.
Okay, were you listening to the beginning of the drive the other day when Spence was just, because Porter, our guy Porter Larson, produces the Spence Checketts show. Like he's on horseback a lot. He
knows horses. Yeah,
he knows horses, and like he's a rodeo guy, and he's like a backcountry.
Grew up around him. Yeah,
he's ride out into the Uintas on a horse's back, and like he knows horses, right? And he likes horse racing, and Spence was just playing devil's advocate, was just needling him,
Yeah.
And Porter said something to the effect of like, some of these horses love it. And Spence is like, how do you know? Did you ask them? like body language and things are not a real thing. I mean, obviously.
Well, Porter's the kind of horse rider that connects to the animal like the Avatar, like the Navi on Avatar. They know what's going on, all right?
Hey, Lou, create the bond.
Yeah.
Also, I guarantee Porter has asked the horse a question before.
He probably
like Porter's definitely the kind of guy who talks to a horse.
Absolutely.
Now, you don't get a verbal answer back, but if maybe someday there will be a way, maybe technology will advance enough that you can hear what the horses have to say. If anyone ever invents that dog collar that they had in the movie Up,
yeah,
I'm buying one.
Or they did it in the last Guardians of the Galaxy too.
They also did it.
Done it in so many movies. Yeah.
They also did it on a Saturday Night Live sketch. Yeah. Anyway,
that's coming.
Load management.
AI is going to make that for us.
Load management in horse racing. Golden Tempo will not pursue a Triple Crown. Not going to race at the Preakness. The first ever female trainer to win a Kentucky Derby after saying, yep, I'm the first ever female. I'm glad that we've crossed this bridge. Also, we're not doing it. We're not doing Preakness. I'm not running my horse 2 weeks later. Not going to do it. And guess what? Doesn't matter. That horse is going to make a lot of money enjoying itself. You know what I mean?
A lot of apples for Golden Tempo.
Tony Parks is going to join us to start off hour number 3. We'll talk a little baseball. I'm also going to pick his brain about the proposed changes to a college football calendar because Tony's a big picture guy, and I know he'll have some thoughts. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Tony Parks, the voice of the Salt Lake Bees, is kind enough to swing by. Tony, how are you?
I'm good. Here in the Sooner State, Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark. Beautiful place, beautiful day. I'm at the ballpark, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be. So we're doing well.
The parent club is off to a rough start so far in this baseball season. How has that affected the Bees with call-ups and rotation and things like that?
Well, one of the things that has happened is, young, talented pitchers who I think have evolved and emerged while with the Bees have had their call-ups and had their opportunities at the next level. And maybe it has sped up some of that process, rather than, you always hope to have a log jam at certain spots, such as, relief pitching, which I know is a really, really big thorn in the side of the Angels. And there's just no way to say it. It has not been at the level that they were hoping, especially early in the year. And so while the Bees have, I think, some really great guys who are starters who they could rely on for some relief opportunities there with the parent club, Aldegheri's a guy with great stuff. He added a cutter to his game, and when it's been on point, he's looked dominant. Mitch Ferris has looked dominant. George Clausen, had a no-hitter through 6, at one point. And Caden Dana, who I think has the best stuff, he missed so much of the spring with illness, and so he's getting back to form. He's not quite there yet either. And while at this level with the Salt Lake Bees, they have had individuals who have had individual performances, which I think are promising. Here's the problem. Inconsistency has just really plagued this team as well. The Bees have the worst ERA in AAA. They walked 11 hitters yesterday. They walked 11 hitters the day before. They got away with it 2 days ago and won. And yesterday they gave themselves very little chance to win a ball game. And if you don't locate and then you walk guys a lot, and then when you're not walking guys, you're getting behind hitters, and then you're getting behind good hitters, it is really tough to string together wins. It's tough to keep momentum as a team, to keep confidence overall, because right now this Bees team, I think, has as explosive of an offense that they've had since 2013. It's been a long time since they've, their 7, 8, 9 hitters on any given night are really productive. But, yeah, it's affected them because obviously it's caused guys to need to come up and give support, and they've been up and down, as we know that can happen a lot. But the biggest thing is nobody has really been able to say, okay, this is the part of the bullpen that starts to flourish. This is where it can be consistent and dependable. Because while it's been inconsistent for the Angels, it's also been inconsistent for the Bees.
How often do you see someone roll through, and maybe this year, maybe not, that, part of the fascination I have with grassroots sports is you see someone before everyone knows that they're good, before everyone knows that they're great. Where you see someone roll through and you're like, that swing is a Major League Baseball swing, or that arm angle and the velocity on that pitch means that we are going to see this guy be a staple somewhere in the majors. How often do you recognize it when, you're doing the daily job? Like you said, you're at the ballpark and these guys are on the climb, and you get to be the kind of the first mover. You get to see it before everyone else sees it.
I would say it's usually about monthly, whether it's like Eric Wagaman, a few years back, where no one really knew who he was, but I had a chance to watch him up close. I'm like, dude, this guy's great. Joey Loperfido, who was there in the Astro system and had no business playing AAA. I mean, he was unbelievable. He was just out of this world. And, so we have a chance to see that, quite regularly. I mean, you have your major stars that you've seen on occasion where you say right away, not only is that guy going to play at the major league level, he's going to make several all-star games and do X, Y, and Z. And that's the Mike Trout or say an Alex Rodriguez, going into the way back. But I think it's really daily that you'll see somebody. It's just the same guy over a period of time. But usually once a month I'll see a guy where I go, there's no way he's going to be here long, and there's no way he's going to be coming back. And so that makes this fun. It makes it fun to see at this level day in and day out, because then when they get there, many times myself and other guys on our staff or other guys from, the manager and the hitting coach and everybody else, we're laughing going, oh, we knew this. Yeah, this is not a surprise whatsoever. And then you see guys in the league that, were in the postseason last year, and you go, okay, yeah, Yeah, I'm not surprised to see that happen. So it's a special part of what goes on because before they reach there and they're great there, they were already elite right here. And then the flip side of it, this is the other fun part. I remember Ubaldo Jimenez, who got shelved the first time that I had a chance to see him, and he did not look good at all. And then the next year he was, starting in the All-Star game. So it's fun, man. I mean, it's just this game, as you know, it's wild, it's crazy. Following it every day is a blessing, and part of it is watching the individual story as it continues to blossom.
Tony Parks, our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking a little baseball today. Jeff Passan was on the Rich Eisen show the other day, and they were asking and talking about the automation. They were asking about ABS, and Jeff Passan talked about something that I guess I should have been aware of. We should have been aware of, but we're not. That there's actually two-way communication in game between the operators of the ABS and the umpires to help them kind of dial in and be more accurate on the strike zone. And I was not aware of that until I saw the conversation. And you're calling these games on the daily most times. Are we seeing umpires do exactly that? Get the strike zone dialed in. So maybe beginning of the game, they'll miss a call here or miss a call there. They'll get a challenge and an overturn. But by halfway through or seventh inning stretch, they've got it dialed to where they need it to?
No, I don't think there's any doubt. The most underrated part of the ABS system, which, by the way, has been better for the game, Major League Baseball more than any sport, every time there's an improvement to the game, everyone swears there's a monster in the closet and it's going to be the worst thing ever, and there's going to be flags all over the field, and games are going to take 12 hours, and now we're going to have and every time it's better. The pitch clock's better. The 3 disengagements is better. The game times are better. The rhythm and the flow of the game is better. And one thing that's happened with the ABS system, for one, it is showing how good these guys are. Most times when they miss, and of course we'll show the one on social media where they're way off, most times when they miss, we are talking millimeters. And whether it's in the zone, out of the zone. If you look at most teams, every single game before I get ready, I look at the team's percentages, and they're correct 52, wrong 48, or vice versa. So the catchers are just about the same with their challenges, and the hitters are the same when it comes to the umpires. We're talking about the naked eye and an invisible box here. That's what we're talking about. So it's showing that they're better than they've ever been. But the second thing, the most underrated thing about ABS is that it's in-game feedback for an umpire. The umpire swears that pitch dropped down beneath the zone before it got there. The catcher swore it hit the very bottom part of the zone with the top of the ball. They challenge it. They look up, and you see the top sliver of the ball just clip the zone, and the strike zone pops up red, and the call's overturned, and it's a strike. And you see it all the time. And then umpires are like, okay, great. And it's, like I said, it's in-game feedback. So as the game goes on, more and more often, you'd see just how correct they are. So people have talked about, it's about time these umpires had, accountability. Oh, they were already held accountable. They're judged on every pitch. They're judged on correct, incorrect, how far out of the zone they are, and they are demoted and promoted accordingly. It's something that happens here. So the best thing that started to happen with officiating in all sports, you see how it's a controversy. In this one, it should be less because there's legitimate accountability. There's immediate feedback. And you can tell that they are getting so close as you can be to perfecting it, because you'll never perfect it. We're talking about humans here. But this is as good as I think you can ask it to be, other than an ABS calling every single ball and strike automatically, right? Like, that's the next thing. But they even have now the check swing challenge, which we just had in this series. We're the first series to have it. And we've had it, and it's been great. It's exactly what you want it to do. And I think the players overall love when the game moves closer to honesty, and that's what the game has moved closer towards.
That the feedback loop of helping officials to dial things in, I want it in other sports now. I want it in football. I want there to be, the eye in the sky saying, hey, that defensive end that is complaining about being held on every play, he's actually got a legitimate gripe here. Let's pay a little extra attention.
Right.
And technology and AI, like, I am a skeptic of all of it unless it's working. And the proof of concept that started with minor league baseball has obviously translated to Major League Baseball. It's pretty cool to see.
Oh, it's great to see. And my opinion on this every time is, especially when it's not subjective, because subjective is difficult. That's difficult, right? Holding, pass interference. There's so many different parts to that. My thing is, if we have something to make it better, and it's quick and efficient, and it just makes the game better overall, why wouldn't we use it? We're in this era where we have it. Officiating is a variable in every game. It's a variable that affects each team, and when it's poor one way, it benefits the other. So people would always defend it with, human error is part of the game. Right. Well, if I make a mistake as a player, that hurts my team. But if an umpire makes a mistake, that helps one team, hurts another, and it swings games. We don't expect perfection, but can we get it as close to that as possible? Because the umpires want to. They want to get it right. That's part of what this is. The other thing that's made this better, and I know people will disagree with me on this, I love that we don't have Aaron Boone walking out with his veins poking out, screaming and yelling over 0.2 millimeters on a pitch outside, acting like this umpire is completely incompetent. Now you got ejections. Now you got screaming matches. Now you've got all this circus going on. I don't understand why that was ever good for the game. Especially when sometimes you had guys screaming and yelling over correct calls. It was pathetic, and it got out of hand. Now, in the previous era, you had I'm the umpire, this is my strike zone, I control this, and it turned into this weird macho game where you had to try and please the umpire, and then, and then deception becomes a cool part of what goes on, and I'm like, okay. But if you go look at games in the 70s and 80s and even the 90s with Eric Gregg, and you watch the nonsense that was going on with strike zones that were all over the place, but people talked about it like, this is good for the game. No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. And now you're starting to see the game a little cleaner. You're seeing it played still at a terrific level. These players are awesome. And now it's starting to show a better version of baseball than I think we've ever had. Despite what all of those who, like I said, they claimed there was a monster in the closet. It was going to destroy and ruin the game. The game didn't need to be left alone. Rob Manfred needed to improve this game. And I'm not just sticking up for a commissioner. I think he has constantly tried to find ways to do it without turning it into a circus. And I think it's made it better for everyone involved.
Tony Parks for another minute or two here on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking baseball. The Utah Mammoths just wrapped up their season, came up short in the first-round playoff series against Vegas. Only the second year, of the franchise existence, and they're on pace. It's nice. Now that we have a 2-year sample size, Tony, what have we learned from hockey in Utah that could be applied to baseball in Utah should Major League Baseball arrive the way we hope it will?
I've said it from the very beginning. Utah is a place for sports and events. They love events. They love sports. When hockey got involved with this, people asked, how will they really respond to this? Really well. They don't even care what slew footing is. They don't even know they don't need to. Icing, offsides, this is how the goals are scored, and they'll learn as they go. But the biggest thing is this is their team. You make it their team. You make it legitimate. You make it big. And I think the ownership and front office deserves a ton of credit with their work, from branding to everything that they've done with presentation, fan-friendly events. They haven't had to beg these fans. They'll come out. They're excited about this. They love being a part of something special. I've tried to explain this to so many as to why Salt Lake is not just a great place for, say, hockey, but also baseball or anything else. The non-baseball fan will come out. They'll learn more and more about it. The baseball fan's definitely coming. So what you learn is Utah loves their events, which, like the Olympics or whatever it might be, if there's something big and something cool going on and it's theirs, they're going to support it. And I think that's what makes the fan in the state of Utah really special. They were that way with the Jazz. Now they're that way with the Mammoth. They would be that way with the Major League team. And I think, it just goes to show. I mean, Salt Lake is the smallest market with multiple major pro sports teams. They are the smallest market with multiple major pro sports teams, and they fill that place and they bring the energy. They would do the same thing if you had a third with Major League Baseball. It's what makes Salt Lake special. And you don't know unless you're there.
Have you seen the realignment proposal that would accompany expansion?
Yeah, with all of the different discussions on possibilities and divisions and, multiple cities who could be involved in this. Yeah.
So one of the things that people don't like is an AL Northeast. And again, this is not this is just a mock-up. This is how we chop the league up. If you bring a West Coast team in, we hope it would be Salt Lake. Portland is obviously a candidate there. You bring in probably a Nashville or a Charlotte to the southeast. Right. And one of the proposals has Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Phillies all in the same division. Now, that's either something that you love or you hate. Where does Tony Park stand on it?
Well, my thing is, as long as you continue to have some of the same rivals play one another, still regularly like they would, and don't skip out on years and things like that, then I'm perfectly fine with it. Look, we saw this in the NFL. I'm not going to be the staunch fighter against some of the realignments. It's going to come at a cost of a team somewhere or something like that taking place. I'm really all right with it. The majority of those basic rivals are still in place right where we like them, right where we want them. So I don't think there's anything too heavy to complain about, right? And they'll get into, geographical connections and all of that. But I don't mind the Yankees and the Mets in the same division. I don't mind the Phillies and the Yankees in the same division. I'm perfectly fine with the Cubs and Sox. I know there was one of the proposals that had them in the same division, which I think would make that city on fire. The biggest thing is this. Are we going to create something that's great for the game overall? And if the overall thing is a plus, I don't get into the splitting hairs of what my preferences would be. We watched it with the NFL when they expanded to 32 and did the divisions the way they did, and what Seattle moved from the AFC to the NFC, and it's turned out really well. And you know what? I think Major League Baseball would have success with it too.
So I don't know how much you pay attention to horse racing. We had the Kentucky Derby. The Derby winner is not going to race in the Preakness, right? No Triple Crown pursuit this year. And there's something going on where there's a conversation because the quick turnaround is what the horse trainers don't like. Okay, so let's move these races back a little bit, give it a little bit more rest, and it's messing with the traditional timing of a sport that is steeped in tradition. And I'm like, okay, I don't care one way or another. I don't follow it close enough to care one way or another. But we have these conversations with other sports. NBA basketball, too much, too little. Could you move it forward? Could you move it back? We're talking about it in college football right now. The coaches want the season to be over by the second week in January. Is there a certain place, timing for any event in sports that you don't want to see change? Whether it's New Year's 6, New Year's Day college bowl games, whether it's opening day in baseball, is there a timeline that cannot be messed with in your mind?
Yeah, Rose Bowl, New Year's Day.
Okay.
And I'm not the one that you have to go by the traditions because it's always been this way. For whatever reason, that's one that I'm like, man, New Year's Day, the Rose Bowl. I don't care if you make it a semifinal. I don't care what you make it. New Year's Day, the Rose Bowl it's just special. I mean, you've been around this game a long time. That's one that I just never want to see messed with. The other one is I really don't like Friday nights being messed with. I think that should be left to high school football only. I think that's so special. And I get it, college games will be on a Friday. But that's one where I'm always like, gosh, man, there's something I want with that game left alone there. I'm always the one that trying to think if there's any others. Oh, I think Green Bay and Chicago, the Bears and the Packers, just with their originality and their history, that they should obviously always be in the same division, but they should always have open roof at any football game that they're in that's a home game.
Oh, wow.
So if the Bears put together a new stadium, I'm cool if you want the roof, but when the Bears play, the roof has to be open. Concerts, whatever, Final Four, do whatever you want with it. But when the Bears are at home, if they're indoors, there's something about that that's just not going to sit right with me. Same thing with the Packers. I didn't like the Packers, but I love Lambeau Field. I love the history. There's something about those two and the beautiful history of the game that I don't want them on turf, and I don't want them with a closed roof and a dome, and I just don't want it to ever feel like arena football when those two teams get together.
Is there any I know your schedule is prohibitive in a lot of this, but is there Any interest for Tony Parks in World Cup soccer coming in a month?
I'll always keep an eye on it. Yeah, I'll always keep an eye on it, especially since they have games during the day. I've watched a lot of Euro Cup in the past, and then, with the World Cup, sure. Absolutely. It's great. Just keep an eye on, have it on in the background. I used to really get into it in previous decades and stuff and watch the Women's World Cup as well. I'll have my eyes on it.
Tony, have a great call tonight, and until the next time we talk to you, always appreciate your thoughts, my friend.
Hey, man. Love it. Always enjoy coming on. Thanks for having me. We'll see you.
Tony Parks is your voice for the Salt Lake Bees on the road in Oklahoma City tonight. When is the next Bees homestand here? Let me SLBs, I believe, slbs.com. When we get another Dirty Sodas game, that's what I'm looking for. I need to get out there. We've got Oklahoma City this week until Sunday and Tuesday the 12th. They are back at home. That'll be a El Paso Chihuahuas visiting. A 6:35 first pitch Tuesday night. It's home family night. That's 4 seats for $40 with the Salt Lake Bees. And then
Dirty Sodas would be the next night, right? Wednesdays?
Wednesdays are Dirty Soda nights?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. The 13th, fetch some unforgettable moments and bring your furry friend to the ballpark at America First Square. We got a bark in the park situation.
Rocky would love
I have to take Rocky out there.
The bark in the park.
He would absolutely love it. Rocky is just a sucker for attention. So you take him where there's a bunch of people who are going to be like, oh, and pet him. He's loving life.
He'll lean right into the whole crowd and knock everybody over. Every time you pet him, you feel all of his weight try to sit on your lap, even if you're standing.
Yeah, he leans on
great.
you. He leans on you. He doesn't want to have to support his own weight.
No.
His own weight. He wants you to do that for him.
Shout out to Rocky. He's not in studio today, so you're not going to see him on the camera.
Yeah, I wanted to bring him in, but we had the Huntsman mental health conversation. We're going to actually touch on that a little bit here in a minute, and you never know if people are going to be comfortable with Rocky being there slobbering on him. James has to deal with it.
Yeah, whether I'm comfortable or not, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
It's fine.
Can we get to that next? Is that all right? Can we do that? Yeah. It's an important thing in whatever profession you're in. It's obviously massively important in sports, and it's thankfully come more into the forefront for conversation and for thought on the highest levels and even on the micro levels. But we'll get into a little mental health discussion next on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
You're tuned to the Sean O'Connell Show from the Murdoch Chevrolet studio of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
All right, Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Taking a break from the unimportant stuff, which is, of course, sports that we all enjoy so much, to talk about something that's a lot more significant to our culture, to our society, and hopefully to all of us personally. Miranda Barnard is here, the president of Huntsman Mental Health Foundation. And look, we got a lot to talk about. Miranda, first of all, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
Okay, we're gonna try to boil it down. The broad strokes. I know what you guys are doing is so significant. We don't have time to get into every little bit of it, but just tell us a little bit about what the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation is up to right now.
Yeah, so the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation raises funds and awareness for all of the work that happens at Huntsman Mental Health Institute. So that's their clinical care, research, community programs, everything that the Institute does, we help fund. And
we talked about the foundation and kind of the main mission before, the new facilities were opening and things like this. But just to give people kind of a broad understanding of maybe some of the services provided to the community, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, Huntsman Mental Health Institute, they staff the 988 number. So if anyone calls, texts, or chats for help any time of the day, someone from the Institute is standing by ready to help. And then a program we're really excited about that just started is the new Crisis Care Center. It's in South Salt Lake. Anyone can walk in any hour of the day and without an appointment, regardless of an ability to pay, and get help for mental health issues that they're experiencing right then and there.
That's so significant. That's so important. As we have learned more, and in sports, obviously, it becomes much more part of the conversation as well, like it has in society. But for people to have access in those moments where, it really is an emergency a lot of times, and they're feeling desperation or hopelessness or whatever, to have access and to not worry about, well, is my insurance going to cover this? Such an incredible service.
Yeah, it really is. It's a real luxury, honestly, to have that here. And the facility itself is really beautiful. So it looks warm and welcoming. In fact, speaking of sports, we just had Michael Phelps, the Olympian, just stop by and visit us there a few weeks ago. So he was in town and wanted to tour it just because it is such a special place that a lot of other communities don't have.
When you see somebody of that status, whether it's an actor, a musician, a celebrity, a sports figure, open up and show some vulnerability and talk about maybe some of their own mental health struggles, or even just show advocacy for people, maybe because of a family member or something like that. How significant is that for the work that you all are doing?
Yeah, it's a really big help. We want to make sure everyone knows, regardless of their background or circumstances, they can ask for help when they need it. We know that 1 of every 2 people in the United States are going to qualify for a mental health diagnosis in their lifetime. So that tells us every single household in Utah is essentially impacted by mental health. It's okay to ask for help. And now, when people ask for help, we want to make sure that they're able to get it.
I think when I think of mental health crisis, right, my brain immediately goes to things like severe depression, but it's not just that, right? Mental health is such a broad and all-encompassing sort of term. Anxiety, ADHD, OCD. You could keep going down the list, yeah. But really, you guys have something for everyone.
Yeah, we do. Substance use is another big driver of mental health needs, and Huntsman Mental Health Institute has some really great programs and resources to help people with that as well. So just like you said, it's anything someone might be struggling with, they can get access to help through the Institute.
And I imagine that fundraising is pretty critical to keeping these efforts going.
That's right. Yeah, mental health care, especially really great quality mental health care, is very expensive to provide. So our fundraising goes directly to helping support people get that kind of help that they need. It also helps support a lot of the research that's happening at Huntsman Mental Health Institute. They're really leading the world in many cases on a lot of the studies they're doing that will lead to better treatments for people all over the country, but especially right here at home.
We've got the Hope for Mental Health Radiothon coming up on May 29th, and we get to be part of that. But tell us more about it.
Yeah, we're hoping people just tune in and listen throughout the day. They get to learn a lot about the work happening at Huntsman Mental Health Institute, a lot of the resources available to them, and then ways that we can all help, whether that's just sharing information about resources available or if they can become a monthly donor. That's something we're really excited about launching. It's our new monthly donor program. As low as $19 a month, people can make a big difference, and they can go to yourbrainisbeautiful.org. That helps share some information, and then they can also see the amazing shirt that they get for being a monthly donor.
This is maybe an unfair question to ask you on the spot here, but I've been fascinated as someone who is in contact sports basically for their whole life about, CTE, the effects of CTE, the behaviors that manifest themselves as an after effect of CTE. And we're seeing, the Boston Brain Bank has been so important and people are donating and we're finding out more. Is there ever any crossover between what Huntsman Mental Health is doing and some of these larger initiatives that maybe we're more familiar with in the sports world?
Yeah, I think so. So Huntsman Mental Health Institute has a lot of resources for whatever concerns people might have. If someone is suspecting they might be struggling because of a CTE situation or something related to that, they can always, like I said, walk into the crisis care center any time of the day in South Salt Lake. We also have a new youth crisis program that just opened, again, 24 hours a day. Anyone can walk in with kids as young as 5 and all the way through high school. So that is a really great resource too, even for younger athletes and students or just anyone who needs some help.
And we were talking before we turned the mics on here, but you're a mom, you have kids that are kind of in that age demographic where a lot of this stuff is really kind of coming to the fore.
Yeah, absolutely. And something I think is really encouraging, I'm a mom of teenage boys, and getting to hear how they and their friends talk about mental health is really encouraging. I think kids, especially younger boys and men, are getting more comfortable talking about needing help sometimes, and it's totally fine. And we want to make sure that when people are, courageous enough to ask for help, that there are really great places for them to get it, like Huntsman Mental Health Institute.
So it's good to hear that your boys are even having those conversations. I remember when I was 16, 17 years old, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, same for me.
You didn't talk to your coaches about it. You didn't talk to your friends about it. You didn't talk to anyone about it.
Yeah, that's right. And I do see that changing. People are more comfortable talking about it. I see that just in my own home with my boys and their friends. And we want to make sure that everybody knows that it's fine to talk about. It's fine to ask for help. And it's really important to do that. And then to be there to support one another as they're getting help.
Well, it's great that we're making those changes as a society. And it's wonderful that we have resources like those provided by the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation right here in our hometown. What's the website again if people want to get involved today?
Yeah, they can go to yourbrainisbeautiful.org, and they can also visit us at hmhf.org.
Even the website name is fantastic.
I know. Yeah, we love that. Thank you.
Just a nice little reminder, especially if you're having some trouble, right? It actually is beautiful. That's great. Miranda, thanks for coming in and sharing this with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we will look forward to the Radiothon coming up on May 29th.
Yes, we're really excited about it. Thank you.
Before we get to any radiothons, PGA Tour leaderboard update from the Myrtle Beach Classic brought to you by Uinta Golf. You're invited to Uinta Golf for the Mother's Day sale. Please don't show up on Mother's Day without something to give. Please. Fill Mom's bag with the right clubs. Book a free What's in the Bag club evaluation. Book your experience in store or online. Uinta Golf. Get there.
Martin Laird is your leader at 7 under. He is one shot up on Rye, who's at 6 under, solo second there. Mark Hubbard, John Get Off My Vanderlaan.
Oh, okay.
Tied for third at 5 under.
All right, Chris Berman.
John, get off my Vanderlaan. Paul Peterson, no relation. He's also tied for third at 5 under. Cousin Paul. Brant Snedeker and Davis Riley in a group tied for 6th at 4 under, rounds out your top 10. Tony Finau, not in the field once again. So there you go. That's your PGA Tour leaderboard update from the Myrtle Beach Classic, brought to you by Uinta Golf.
All right, got to take another break. We'll do a little crosstalk with Spence. some final thoughts as we close out the show. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Wrapping things up here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Crosstalk is brought to you by our friends at Advanced Window Products. 801-850-9100, $2,500 off, 10 windows or more. That was a perfect time to give them a phone call. They'll come out, they'll measure, they will bid. It takes about 6 weeks from the time you have that first appointment until they are installing your brand new windows that they have manufactured expressly for your house, and then they're going to warranty them for the life of that home. 801-850-9100, advancedwindows.com. Spence Checketts in the driver up next, and here he is.
Hello, Murph.
Hi. Don't do that.
Well, I know the origin story now. I still can't call you that because I'm not a teammate.
Yeah, that's kind of the rule.
Well, what if we're teammates now?
Yeah, but
Too late?
Not in that part of my life.
Okay, fine. I'll come up with my own nickname.
Okay, great.
OC.
Well
Boom,
done.
boom,
Well
huh?
done.
See? There you
Got
go.
me.
There you go. In your face.
All right.
Good show today, bud.
Well, how outraged are you at the prospect of a Preakness moving back a week to accommodate Kentucky Derby winners?
I don't know what that sentence means.
Oh.
So I don't care. As I've said before, this is a sport where the participants don't know. If they sprain an ankle, we're going to blow their brains out. So I can't get on board.
It's not a sprained ankle.
Look, there's no way. Porter swears that the horses love this endeavor. There's no way that's true.
That is absolutely true.
What if I told you, hey, guess what? I'm going to sign you up for a sport. There's going to be a skeevy weirdo sitting on your back smacking your ass. And if you sprain your ankle,
Sounds like a good time.
Well, I'm asking the wrong guy. And if you sprain your ankle, we're going to blow your brains out.
It's not a sprain. It's a broken leg.
Still, let them live. Why are we killing them if they break their leg?
Have you ever seen a horse trying to hobble around on a broken leg?
Well,
it's humane.
Let them heal.
No, that's not.
The legs don't heal? What if we did that to humans? What if you went to the doctor, it's like, oh, sorry, I thought it was a sprain, it's broken, hold still, boom.
What if we gave horses cell phones?
They couldn't use them.
Exactly.
They don't have opposable thumbs.
It's a totally different animal.
I am anti-killing things after they break a leg. I'm gonna die on this hill. I think it's inhumane. I think it's rude.
All right. Well, I was using it as a jumping off point to there's like we're messing with the timing, or we're thinking about messing with the timing of a lot of things in sports.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the Preakness is kind of the silliest one because the Kentucky Derby winner is not even trying to win a Triple Crown. There's like, no, that's too soon. We don't want to run that race.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wait, what? They've been doing it for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Why don't you want to do it? And she's just like, nah, it's too soon. It's a quick turnaround. And now there's like some people who want them to push the races back and whatever. But we're also doing this with college football. The coaches want the season to be done the second Monday in January. Some people, myself included, think you should move it forward even further than that.
Mm-hmm.
What is an unimpeachable, unchangeable, don't touch this timing in sports for Spence Checketts?
March Madness. The NCAA tournament.
You can't call it February Madness?
You cannot, nor should you.
Why?
Because it's played in March, and that's when the season ends.
Okay.
And spring is probably my favorite time of year because we're finally getting out of the winter doldrums.
Uh-huh.
We finally get serious basketball.
Baby animals everywhere.
Broken legs, blowing their brains out. The Masters, we start to hear the piano music for the Masters. I know you're a huge Master. I don't have to tell you.
You won't see me watching any tournament besides the one at Augusta National.
Oh, no, I'm aware. But March Madness, college basketball, year in and year out, unless we have, like if the Mammoth were playing for the Stanley Cup or the Jazz were playing for a championship or the Olympics are here or something, if it's just a regular year, the NCAA tournament is my favorite thing on the calendar.
Well, I got bad news for you because they're expanding to 76 teams, and they're going to have to start messing with the timing a little bit.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? No.
They're going to have to – it's going to go from 76 to 128, and then they're going to be like, we got to start in the last week of February now.
You're just making things up.
February Madness.
That's not how it's going to go.
Madness.
You have not looked into this. It's the same dynamic. They're adding a couple more play-in games is all. It's going to be the same. It is silly.
That's a good one, though. March Madness is genuinely, it's a really good one. I asked Tony Parks. He said the Rose Bowl's got to be on New Year's. It's like, yeah, I think you're right. It's got to be New Year's Day. But if it means we can move it to like the day after Christmas and get the season over with by January 4th, then maybe we can move it.
Well, I'm all in favor of what the coaches have proposed for the calendar changes. I like starting the season. Are we going to have a week -1? Or are we
Yes.
we are. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a little silly.
You seen Godzilla -1, by the way?
I have not.
Good movie.
I have not. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Week -1.
Just start the week, start the season the same week. And I'm all for ending it because then you get into this convoluted like 30-day window. And then if a coach gets fired, it's 30 days after that. Like, I don't know, man. I know it's college basketball, but talking with Alex Jensen a couple weeks ago, it's the number one thing in college hoops that they feel like they need to get fixed. Like, we all need to be on the same calendar, under the same guidelines, following the same rules.
Well, that's something that is my only like pushback against the the changes that the coaches have proposed, and I know why they proposed them, and obviously it's far more salient to their life than it is to mine. But we are doing a lot of these things. We're bowing down to the power of the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we got to get everything out of the way so that 2-week period we can treat with the proper attention. It's like, man, we're really reshaping a lot of stuff, even a full tradition based on the whims of these attorneys.
Right,
which,
right.
Again, I think it's probably unavoidable, so I'll get on board with it. But it just shows you the power of the changes that only came into place, 6 years ago now.
Well, and the other thing is, no matter what they do, we're going to run into issues that will inevitably bring other conversations to the table. Like the Brendan Sorsby thing. You know, a lot of conversation around Texas Tech is, well, they should be able to go out and find his replacement. I know they have Will Hammond. Obviously, we know here that he's a pretty good player. But you hear a lot of people like, well, wait a second. Jake Retzlaff, he got, the BYU thing happened.
He ghost transferred, yeah.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are saying, okay, well, we fixed a loophole that some people weren't crazy about, but you can't prepare for your starting quarterback to get got, for what Sorsby got from, or
maybe you could have prepared for it because even Cincinnati knew about it, and it seems like maybe Texas Tech did too.
Well, if it's not that, it would be something else, right? Suddenly a quarterback or one of your key players gets in trouble doing something else. And then the conversation will be, well, we should be able to go out and find a replacement for him because it's not our fault that he got loose doing this, that, or whatever.
I'm not listening to that, though. Do you believe in that argument? Because
no,
I know it's not your argument.
Yeah, no.
I know that's, but it's like if your NFL quarterback gets injured or suspended, you don't just get. Well, we should go find another Tom Brady then.
Well, you can make a trade. You can.
So you want teams to be able to then send other players away?
I actually think at some point we're going to be there. I'm dead serious.
I mean,
yeah,
we will because it'll be.
I'll send you
semi-pro.
Devin Dampier and a second-round pick for Bear Bachmeier. Just prepare for those transactions.
Whoa.
No, my point in bringing that up is no matter what you bring to the table, there's no perfect solution. You're just going to have to do the best you can to alleviate as many concerns as possible and then say, this is the deal.
Yeah.
This is it. And to use the pro sports parallel, there's a window for free agency and there's a trade deadline. So if a quarterback gets hurt after the trade deadline, you're left calling Phillip Rivers to make sure he hasn't had his 13th kid and his 12th Bud Light of the day to make sure that maybe he can still play football. Like, your options aren't great at that point, but there are still options out there. And in the landscape of college football right now, because of the loopholes they've closed, Texas Tech is going to season with the quarterback room they have.
Which, by the way, is totally fine.
Might not be bad. I mean, they're still a heavy favorite to win the conference.
As soon as Will Hammond gets healthy, it's just like, oh, cool. So you've got a 4-star quarterback who's played against an elite defense and won a game for you.
Did you see their even money in Vegas? Texas Tech is even money to win the Big 12, even after the Sorsby news. Even money. You want to win $50, you put $50 on it.
That actually shows a lot of belief in what they brought in to replace David Bailey, Romello Height, Jacob Rodriguez. I mean, that defense is not just a cast of characters that you're supposed to be able to slap together. I will say, though, I thought the same thing with last year's defense.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys are all free agents. You can't get them pulling on the same rope that fast. Yeah. And then that might be Joey McGuire's best trait as a coach. I don't know his X's and O's, but getting free agents to work together quickly takes a certain amount of leadership, and he did a great job of it.
Well, they had the number 1 rated transfer portal class in America. Part of that was Sorsby, right? And the biggest gap of all the conferences right now, to win the conference, the biggest gap is the Big 12. Tech is 1 at even money. Utah is 2, by the way, at plus 600. And then BYU is 3 at plus 650. The other conferences, the gap is much smaller. Texas Tech is by far the most overwhelming favorite in college football to win a conference.
Bear Bachmeier at plus 6,500 to win the Heisman, or Devin Dampier at plus 8,000. Where are you putting your $100?
Neither. Oh. If I have to, Devin, we're the home of the Utes. Come on.
I'll be.
But neither. I'll keep the $100. Just not happening. I heard you talking about this a little bit yesterday. The sad reality is no one in this conference is competing for a national championship.
That's right.
No one in this conference is competing for a national championship or a Heisman Trophy. Like, it's not, I'm sorry to burst the bubble of people around here. Like, every time Utah gets off to like a 4-0 start and Tyler Huntley hasn't thrown a pick, it's like hashtag Huntley Heisman. It's like, don't do that. You're setting people up here for ridiculous expectations because it's just not reality. It just isn't.
A Heisman Trophy is more likely than a national championship.
I would agree with that. You'd have to go.
We just got an Outland Trophy for the first time.
Did James just throw a Ty Detmer out there?
Yes.
Wow. Was that 1991?
90,
By the way,
I don't know.
did you say yesterday the last Big 12 national champ was Colorado in like 90 whatever?
That was the
Of the teams that are in the conference
teams that
right
are
now.
currently in the conference. Yeah, it was 1990 Colorado Buffaloes.
And then before that, it's BYU 1984. Right?
There might have been those. Yeah, because Oklahoma was the one before that, and Oklahoma was no longer in the conference.
Yeah, there was Nebraska, Texas, but of the teams that are in the conference, Colorado in the 90s. Jeez.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, one poll gave Utah a national championship after
Good point.
2008 season. So,
And I believe Witt voted Utah as the number one team in the country after that year. Is that right?
I mean, if you just beat Alabama and everyone else says you're number 2, it's your responsibility as the head coach to say, actually, we're number 1.
I had no problem with it. But it's a sad reality that a national championship it's like the World Cup for the U.S. men's national team. Jurgen, their old coach, is a German guy.
We're winning that
We're
this
not.
year, by the way.
Sean, I'm sorry. We're not.
We are.
Okay, more likely the U.S. men's national team wins the World Cup or Texas Tech wins the national championship.
Well, Texas Tech winning a national championship is more likely.
But neither are ever going to happen. So I remember, again, I don't have to tell you as a soccer historian, but when Jurgen was the coach of the U.S. men's national team, German guy, he was asked, will the U.S. ever win the World Cup? He's the coach of the team, and he's like, no. It was the most German thing ever.
9.
It was just like this German, like, what a
This
dumb.
could never happen.
And, the American media, because Americans, we believe in things that we can accomplish that are completely, out of the realm of possibility because we created a republic out of thin air. And, religions are started with certain creative storylines. And ultimately, given time, people believe in it. And suddenly things are created. So we believe we can do things that really we shouldn't believe we can do. We are a country built off of delusional confidence. So the American media was like, did you just say that we're never going to win a World Cup? Aren't you the coach of the team? He's like, yeah, it's never going to happen. Sorry.
Wow.
And he's not wrong. That's the problem. And we're not wrong that no one in the Big 12 is going to even be close to winning a national championship.
By the way, did you know that there's a World Cup game the night that we arrive in Dallas for the Big 12 Media Days?
Is it a U.S. game?
No.
Oh.
It's you think it's not going to be a U.S. game because you don't believe we'll even make it to the knockout round. It's a round of 16.
We have a
It's an
chance to
elimination
make
game.
it to the knockout round, but I don't know that
It could be a U.S. game then, Spence.
So it's a knockout game.
It's a knockout game.
So what you're saying is me, you, Alonzo, soccer, sports bar, World Cup watch party.
No. We're going to Jerry World, baby.
Wait, the game is there?
Yes.
Oh, see,
you're missing the point.
I
here.
had no clue. Wait, I can get us tickets.
On the 6th.
Okay.
Media days are on the 7th and 8th.
Okay, I'm going to get us tickets and then submit an expense report for those.
So you're going to get free tickets, and then you're going to charge the company the secondary market ticket value.
Correct.
Awesome.
I'll get free tickets. And just remember, I said submit the expense report.
Yeah.
I don't think anything...
9 months later, you'll get paid.
I've had these handed back to me before. Like, oh, cute. Here you go. Right out the door. So, no. I was unaware of that dynamic. I would love to go see. I've never seen a World Cup game.
I have not seen a World Cup game either. Well, I've seen a Rugby World Cup game. Worth it. That was awesome.
I'd like to experience a World Cup game before I pass. No, I'm good.
Tell us
I'm
something.
good.
You good?
I'm good.
Weird. It's ominous.
Well, it's every 4 years. So, like, let's say I live another 40 years. I only have like 9 or 10 chances.
Okay.
I'm 48, Sean. I'm not a spring chicken anymore.
You'll make it to your 90s.
I don't know if I want to. Okay. No, let me ask. Do you want to die slowly, Like, do you want to be unwell?
There's nobody who answers that question with a yes.
Well, then, when's the last time you saw an 88-year-old? You're like, that guy's in great shape. They do respect to, if you're in your 80s and doing well, good job. My experience is, as folks age into that stage, the final portion of the existence doesn't seem to be all that awesome. Like, if I'm in a spot where somebody's...
Not a hot take.
Well, if I'm in a spot where somebody is feeding me meals and taking care of me if I need to use the restroom, just roll me off the Grand Canyon, dude. I'm good. I don't need to be hanging around for that.
Interesting way to go.
Well, you wouldn't feel anything. I want to go quickly.
Not me.
I would. You want to be surrounded by Kendall and the girls for 10 years.
No. I want to be put into a scenario where a wild animal takes my life.
Well, I hope it doesn't break its leg.
And I fight it out.
Oh, wait, you want to like go out heroically, like fighting a bear?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like my grandkids find me, my carcass, grasping a bear claw, that I've ripped out of its hand, or a tooth that's gone. You know what I mean? And then they make a necklace out of it, and it's a great conversation piece.
What if it just slits your throat and you die without any fight?
That's not how bears do things. So good try.
How do you know that?
Because
Don't they have claws?
Yes, they do.
What if they just clawed your throat?
That's not how they kill things.
Well, how do they kill things?
They pin them down and they bite the back of their neck and they.
I thought the Revenant, the bear just clawed Leo. Right?
No.
Wasn't that a bear?
Yeah. Also, that's a bad example because he didn't die.
He didn't die?
No.
I never saw the movie.
Great.
Loose crosstalk today. Hang in there if you're in your 80s. We love you.
Stay tuned for The Drive. It's the Sean O'Connell Show tomorrow on ESPN 700 and 92 FM.